Chapter 359. Impossible. Mao Shintai definitely didn't believe that he would die here. It was just a fantasy. Lin Fan looked strong, but he was just a weakling. Suddenly, Mao Shintai's expression changed. A person appeared in front of him. It was the kid that he looked down on. Lin Fan didn't attack and just calmly appeared in front of him like he wanted to let him know that he was standing in front of him and that he would kill him in a moment. At that moment, it wasn't that Lin Fan didn't want to speak, but the power in his body was too violent and it made him feel uncomfortable. It was as if something wasn't flowing smoothly and he was suppressing himself. You are dead. Lin Fan uttered those 4 words with much difficulty as he punched out. His fist was shrouded in a dim glow and was extremely fast. Perhaps it was because the speed of his punch was too fast, but wherever his fist passed, the void cracked inch by inch. Keep dreaming. Mao Shintai hollered in rage and raised his head to block. How could he be suppressed by this kid? If not, that would be the greatest humiliation of his life. Even if Lin Fan's fist had the ability to split the sky and land, he didn't fear it at all. This was the confidence of a Maigu City Dao Realm Stage 5 general. But right as the fist and palm were about to clash, something shocking happened. How is that possible? The kid's fist actually punched into the dimension and passed right in front of him. He passed through the dimension and appeared right in front of him. Pung! Pung! Lin Fan hollered. A bright light exploded from his fist and smashed onto Mao Shintai's body. Mao Shintai also slapped Lin Fan's chest. Just one palm caused Lin Fan's bug body to be a little unstable. How long? The two of them fell and smashed into the ground, creating a giant hole. Shortly after, a circular shockwave exploded. The battlefield was riddled with holes, and it was really intense. Young Master. Old Wu looked at the scenes in the distance and was really worried. He saw Young Master's explosion, and he was really strong. But it wasn't enough. Lin Fan was really strong, too. Mao Shintai was a Dao Realm Stage 5 Saint King expert, so he definitely wouldn't lose like that. Zhu Daoshan frowned and hollered. Mao Shintai, how can you be so trash? This kid is only Dao Realm Stage 1, and you actually can't take him down. He paid attention to the situation here. When he saw Mao Shintai being punched to the ground, he was infuriated. How could he be so useless? What was he cultivating to reach such a realm? Zhu Daoshan stopped daydreaming. Wu Zhiga roared. Lin Wani's strength was beyond his imagination. With the 4 of them ganging up on him, Imperial territory was about to collapse. Wang Yu was one of the strongest 9-star generals in the Alliance, and he was really strong. Lin Wani's halberd struck his back, and he was badly mutilated. His aura was really unstable, and it felt like he could disintegrate at any moment. But Zhu Daoshan actually had the time to think about other things. He was sick in the head. Crack! Mao Shintai, who had been smashed into the ground, was furious to the extreme. His body shook slightly, and he could fall at any moment. His 10 fingers gripped the ground, and his expression became fierce and terrifying. Mother of Asterisk Kerr, this hateful guy actually made me lose face. Damn it, damn it. Mao Shintai was totally infuriated. Perhaps this was the dignity of the strong. Even if Lin Fan merged with 9 Demon and had the bug transformation body, he wouldn't be able to gain Mao Shintai's recognition. One's own weakness was weakness. Mao Shintai's lips were dry, and one could see blood and flesh. He pinched his chin, and it instantly returned to normal. Speed is okay. Strength is okay. Aura is okay too. Then, I can't let you live. Mao Shintai floated in the air, and his aura slowly rose. Pooey. Lin Fan laid in the deep hole and spat out fresh blood. His eyes were a little dazed, and there were many cracks on his body. This can't end. I still have to fight. Recover. Blood Demon Reversal Technique was raised to the highest realm, the Dao Wheel. It instantly recovered his body to its peak. 9 Demon, hold on. Lin Fan stood up and disappeared from the spot. He once again clashed with Mao Shintai. He knew that with his current strength, he could hit Mao Shintai, but it was impossible for him to kill him. But no matter whether or not he could, at least he couldn't drag him down. Darkness God Domain, what is the use of you? Can you let me feel it quickly? Lin Fan shouted. He had too many trump cards. But they were just too cunning, and until now, they hadn't appeared. Go to hell! Mao Shandai hollered in rage. The aura of heaven and earth gathered into a fist that descended from above. Under this terrifying aura, the ground sank and the sky seemed to have sunk by a lot. How long? Before the fist even arrived, the power that could destroy everything covered and pressed down on Lin Fan's body. Many streaks of light exploded from Lin Fan's body and charged into the sky. It was extremely eye-catching and clashed with Mao Shantai's power. There was a loud explosion and the ground sank, instantly collapsing. Mao Shantai played with the power of yin and yang and the 5 elements. There were even signs of laws, and with a wave of his arm, a power swept the area. The explosion continued. Not only did Lin Fan bear the power from above, but there was also the aura from all around. Reverse. Lin Fan hollered. Heaven and earth flipped and space shifted. But to Mao Shantai, these were just small tricks. Mao Shantai clenched his fingers, and with a pump, the space exploded and swept everything. As for Lin Fan, he was affected by this power as well, and his body was severely injured. So strong. He is much stronger than before. Lin Fan thought about it. Mao Shantai squinted his eyes and looked at the slightly chaotic area. He said in disdain, "You are just an ant. I just need to be a little more serious, and you won't be able to block me. This is the gap between realms." He raised his head and looked forward. Zhu Daoxin and the other 3 weren't successful in killing Lin Wani. Although they had injured Lin Wani, the 4 of them were injured, especially Wang Yu, who was the most seriously injured. You still say that I am weak? The 4 of you surrounded Lin Wani and ended up in such a state. Some of you even died. How embarrassing. Mao Shantai thought about it, but he didn't dare to say it out loud. Otherwise, who knew what kind of problems he would face? He locked his eyes on the kid and wanted to see how he was doing. He was shocked. What was going on? How was he fine? Lin Fan stood up from the ground and scathed. Although he looked fine, his clothes were dyed in blood, and that was enough to show how badly injured he was. Zhu Yao, can you become even stronger? Lin Fan wanted to make himself stronger, and he thought that he would be able to kill Mao Shantai. But in the end, he knew that he was thinking too much. Mao Shantai was really strong. He wasn't his match at all. Nine Demon didn't reply. Maybe he understood and didn't want to reply. The 3rd stage wasn't something that Master could handle. Maybe during the transformation, he would die. That's all. Lin Fan was really unwilling. Father wasn't in a good situation. It wasn't that he was going to lose, but as time went on, his father's battle became more and more intense. Not only was he injured, but even the other 4 9-star generals were injured. If this continued, someone would definitely die. Old Wu's situation was still okay, but it wasn't much better. As for the other areas, he couldn't bear to look on anymore and couldn't bear to. It was too tragic. They were all exchanging their lives. Ah! Lin Fan bellowed out as the power within his body burst forth. Just like a flood, it surged up into the sky and blanketed the entire world. What thick and thick power! Mao Shantai exclaimed. This kid's realm wasn't high, but he didn't expect the true essence he contained to be so terrifying. At that moment, the situation in the area changed. The thick true essence actually formed many sword intents. The sword intents hung in the air and surged forwards. One could say that they covered the entire area. He activated all his cultivation techniques. Endless Tao patterns gathered on the sword intents. To other people, this was an unbearable consumption, but to Lin Fan, this was all he could do. Mao Shantai raised his head and smiled. Kid, you are at the end of the road and are prepared to use this to kill me. Don't you think that you are thinking too much? Do you dare to take it? Lin Fan raged. Ha ha! Mao Shantai laughed out loud. Why wouldn't I dare to take such small things? Come, I will stand here and see how skilled you are. Mao Shantai didn't change much from his previous shock to his current calmness. The strength that this kid displayed was really shocking. But when he used his true strength, it was just SOSO. He just had to praise him. This kid really could take a beating. He didn't even die from that. What did he rely on? Lin Fan opened his arms, and a current connected him with the sword intents in the air. He injected the strongest power in. Zhu Daoxin looked over out of habit. He was dumbfounded by what he saw. Then, he seemed to have thought of something. Mao Shintai, what are you doing? Hurry up and kill him. Damn, what was this fool standing there for? He wanted to wipe out the Alliance members, and didn't he know? Mao Shintai smiled. There is no need to be nervous. Wait for me to take this move, and when he is in despair, I will send him on his way. You. Zhu Daoshan was about to speak, but he was instantly stunned. Just at that moment, Lin Fan pressed down with his palms, and the sword intense in the air fell down like rain. This was the only thing he could do. He really couldn't kill Mao Shantai, as he was unexpectedly strong. But even then, he had to do something. Mao Shantai's lips curled up in disdain. But suddenly, he realized that the situation wasn't right. Kid, you actually lied to me. Mao Shantai was shocked. It wasn't that he was careless, but that he was really a fool. The place where the sword attacks were headed was where the Alliance members were. Alliance 9-star generals, block for me. His furious shouts weren't of much use. Half of the Alliance 9-star generals were dead. Even the remaining 9-star generals weren't able to react in time. Damn. Mao Shintai wanted to block, but suddenly he realized that he couldn't. Lin Fan actually looked towards Zhang Sheng, who was fighting with the Alliance 9-star generals not far away. In an instant, a thought appeared in Mao Shintai's mind. If he wanted to help, then he would definitely kill those 9-star generals. Chapter 360. In the end, Mao Shintai decided not to save them. This was a form of torture. The Alliance experts who were killing each other. They thought that the Alliance could suppress the natives, but as the battle progressed, they realized that they were wrong. Everything was wrong. This was a battle to the death, and there was no way out. Looking at the people around them die one by one, they slowly went mad and gave up on the possibility of survival. Zhao Su was an yin-yang realm expert from the Alliance. He sensed danger above him and raised his head. He realized that there were dense sword intents heading towards him. He was terrified and wanted to flee. But suddenly, he felt like he couldn't move. He lowered his head and saw a pair of arms hugging him tightly. A cold voice spread into his ears. Don't think about running. Let's die together. You're crazy. Let go of me. Zhao Su hollered and struggled. Ha ha. Remember, all of you are just asking to die by coming here. Today, I have killed 7 of your Alliance experts. That is enough. The U-City expert laughed out loud. He raised his head and looked at the sword intents that were about to land. He didn't fear them at all. Zhao Su hollered in rage. Slowly, he knew that resistance was useless. He raised his head and looked at the sword intents in the sky. Some people said that when one died, everything that happened would be replayed like a slideshow. He slowly grew up and started to cultivate from a young age. He fought with his parents to serve the Alliance, entered the college, and learned from his teacher. When he was 30, he became a 4-star teacher. At the same time, he married his teacher's daughter and had a son. The kid didn't have martial arts talent and became a researcher. He got married and had a cute granddaughter. He loved it when his granddaughter called him grandfather. He loved to bring her out to eat all sorts of delicacies. 61 years old, a 7-star Alliance expert. He didn't dare to say that his position was high, but it wasn't low either. A smile appeared on Zhao Su's face like he was looking at his own life once more. He then hollered, "The Alliance will win. U-City will win." Zhao Su self-destructed. The U-City expert also self-destructed. How long? The shockwaves spread out and swept everything around. No, I don't want to die. Some Alliance experts cried out in panic. With a shiao, the sword intent landed and pierced his body, pinning him to the ground. Screams rang out. Some Alliance experts realized that the sword intent didn't harm the U-City natives. They thought of a way. As long as they stayed with the natives, wouldn't they be fine? Very soon, they were entangled with the natives. But what they didn't expect was that the native in their eyes didn't give them any chance at all. As long as there was an opportunity, he would grab them. Young Master Lin, don't hesitate. Kill. Too many people died, and they didn't expect to survive. This battle was U-City's proof to the world. At the same time, it was to let the Alliance know their determination. Xiao. The sword intent spun in the air and pierced the Alliance expert's head. Don't doubt my control over the way of the sword. Lin Fan was in a bad situation. Mao Shindai looked at him like he wanted to eat him up. Since things were already like this, what was there to be afraid of? Mao Shindai, have you ever felt like your intelligence is being played by others? Now this is how you feel. Look at the way he's looking at you. It seems like he's saying that as long as you're alive, we'll meet in a military court. It's obvious that he wants to skin you alive. Lin Fan laughed. Gradually, his soft voice turned into an unrestrained laugh. This laughter made Mao Shuntai go crazy. Rumble, I will tear you to pieces. Mao Shuntai struck Lin Fan, and his aura swept everything. The people around were affected, and they could only move further away. Lin Fan twisted his neck, and it cracked. He cultivated 63 cultivation techniques, and they turned into 63 Dao patterns. At the same time, he cultivated 10 heart cultivation techniques, and they all turned into Dao patterns. A total of 73 Dao patterns. One should say that he was the person with the most Dao patterns in the world. Oh right, these 73 Dao patterns were all returning to true, complete Dao patterns. There was a limit to one's strength. Normal Dao realm experts would be lucky to have 10 complete Dao patterns. As for 73, there was no need to talk about it. If not for Lin Fan, maybe such a thing wouldn't have happened. After merging with 9 Demon and activating the incomplete second stage, his strength would soar. He would be able to casually kill stage 2 Dao realm experts, so he didn't need to worry too much. Maybe it was the same for stage 3 Dao realm experts. But at this moment, he was facing Mao Shuntai, who was at stage 5. Mao Shintai's strength was at the top of stage 5 Dao realm experts. It was already not bad that Lin Fan wasn't instantly killed. Hong Long, kid, go down there and repent. The ferocious attacks were earth-shattering. The unwillingness in Lin Fan's heart wasn't because he had met a strong opponent. It was because his strength was slightly lacking. But he had already done his best. The Alliance's casualties were even more terrifying than Yucity's. This was what made him happy. Pung. Lin Fan was smacked to the ground by Mao Shuntai, and he spat out mouthfuls of blood. Recover. Damn, even if you're stronger than me, you can't bully me like that. Lin Fan made sure to remember the other party. Damn it. Remember, I won't forgive you. Slowly, Mao Shuntai realized that the situation wasn't right. Why wasn't the kid dead? To him, that was impossible. He had suffered such heavy injuries, so no matter who it was, they would definitely die. Who knew that in just a short while, the kid would be full of energy once more? Mao Shuntai, what is going on with you? Why are you so slow? Zhu Daoshan hollered. He thought that Mao Shuntai would be able to kill the kid and then help the other 9-star generals. Who knew that he would still be playing with the kid till now? Are you a traitor or not? Are you a member of the Peace faction? Zhu Daoshan couldn't help but suspect that a Dao Realm Stage 5 expert like him actually hadn't killed him after such a long time. Even if he was going easy on him, he shouldn't have done that. You can't malign me. Mao Shindai hollered. The feeling of being maligned was really annoying. To say that he was from the Peace faction was just nonsense. He really wanted to kill the kid. But for some reason, the kid was always so lively, and it really gave him a headache. Forget it. Since that was the case, then he would just watch. He would definitely beat the kid to death. After a long while, suddenly, there was a scream. Lin Wani seized the opportunity, and a terrifying torrent of power fiercely pressed down on Wang Yu, instantly crushing him into flesh and blood. But Lin Wani himself was also punched in the back by Wu Zhiga, opening a bloody hole. Pucci! Lin Wani spat out blood. He grabbed it with his fingers and slapped forwards. The blood turned into a blood rain that swept towards them. It instantly turned into a blood ocean that wrapped up Wu Zhiga and the others. Lin Wani's mouth was covered in blood. His eyes shone viciously as he struck towards Lin Fan. When Mao Shuntai saw Lin Wani attack him, he was shocked and terrified. He knew that Lin Wani's eyes were bloodshot. I will leave now. Mao Shuntai was a coward. But suddenly, Lin Fan, who was lying on the ground, grabbed Mao Shintai's ankle. Don't think about leaving. Kid, you're asking to die. Mao Shintai wanted to raise his leg and smash Lin Fan's head. But when he thought about Lin Wani, he was terrified. Lin Wani, I didn't do anything to your son, so don't Poochie. The halberd slashed across, and Mao Shuntai was sliced in half. Lin Wani grabbed Lin Fan and struck towards Old Wu. At the same time, the halberd in his hand turned into a streak of light and shot towards the 9-star generals who were fighting Old Wu and the others. Lin Wani is here, run. Those 9-star generals panicked, but how could they run? The halberd pierced through them. Old Master. Old Wu looked at Old Master's injuries and panicked. He didn't know what to do. Cough, cough. Lin Wani coughed out blood. If it was a normal injury, he would have recovered long ago. But those few people were at the same realm as him, so it would be tough for them to recover. Brother Wu, bring him and leave. Lin Wani said. Old Wu said, Old Master, I can still fight. Lin Wani shook his head. No need, we have already lost. Bring my son and leave. I will cover you. At that moment, he felt that his injuries were getting worse and worse. If this continued, no one would be able to save him. Punk. Wu Zhiga and the other two broke out of the blood ocean and looked at Wang Yu, who had turned into minced meat. They were furious. Who knew that one of the strongest 9-star generals would really die? Lin Wani, don't think about running. The Alliance has sacrificed so much to kill you. Now that one of the strongest 9-star generals has died along with you, you should be satisfied. Wu Zhiga's eyes turned red and blood was about to drip out. Zhu Daoxin's hands trembled. He sensed death descending on him many times. If not for them having so many people and working together, he would have been the one to die. Father, I will accompany you. Lin Fan said. Lin Wani grabbed Lin Fan's collar and pulled him in front of him. He said solemnly, Listen up, you are my son and you can't die here for nothing. You will help me complete what I haven't finished. Remember, don't be greedy and don't offend others. I can't protect you anymore. Lin Fan looked at his father and clenched his fists. He was really unwilling. Don't be unwilling. This is the general trend. It is already not bad that we are able to do this. Don't forget that we are going up against the entire alliance. Lin Wani patted Lin Fan's shoulder, and his eyes stopped on Lin Fan's face like he wanted to take a few more looks at him. He waved his hands, with his back facing them. He looked towards Wu Zhiga and the others. Punk. Lin Wani placed the halberd in front of him and smashed it into the ground. He held it with both hands and stared at Wu Zhiga and the other two. The three of you are the strongest 9-star generals in the alliance. If I can bring all of you away, that might be a good choice. Kacha. The halberd split apart, and a silver pillar of light was grabbed by Lin Wani. This is... Wu Zhiga frowned. He felt that it was a little familiar, and he had a bad feeling. Lin Wani smiled. Time source, I obtained it by chance. Follow me to the other world to fight. Not good. Wu Zhiga was shocked like he had seen a ghost. Hung long. A bright silver light exploded from Lin Wani's body. At the same time, a stable dimension tunnel appeared behind them. Let's go, Lin Wani said. Old Wu and Zhang Sheng looked at one another and nodded their heads unwillingly. They pulled Lin Fan towards the dimension tunnel. Old Master, I am useless. You have tried your best. Remember, protect the Lin family. Lin Wani smiled and looked at the three of them who were slowly walking towards the dimension tunnel. Fan, you are really amazing. I am happy. Lin Fan's throat moved. Father, will you die? Lin Wani smiled and looked at Lin Fan. He kept silent for a moment. I won't. Lin Fan smiled. When Old Wu and the others entered the dimension tunnel, he slapped and caused it to collapse, cutting off their path. Father, since you won't die, then once this ends, I will carry you away. Chapter 361. The battlefield was silent. Lin Wani looked at Lin Fan with a stunned expression. This was the unfilial son that he wanted to talk about and the son that he was most proud of. But things had already reached such a stage. Why didn't you leave? Father understood your thoughts, and I am really happy. Based on Lin Wani's past experience, when this happened, he would leave his unfilial son. From then on, the unfilial son would roam the world alone. This was a form of growth for the unfilial son. But what was happening now? He had no idea what was going on. Father, don't worry. I will be with you. Lin Fan saw that his father's gaze towards him was a little weird. He was a little confused and didn't know if he was too outstanding, which touched his father. Maybe that was the only explanation. Just like what his father said, U City lost. They didn't lose in terms of aura, but because they had several times the number of Alliance members. At the same time, they lost in terms of top combat strength. To be able to drag the Alliance down and make them suffer heavy losses was a good thing. Everyone only had one thought in their mind. It was to let the Alliance know that if they wanted to invade, they had to pay a huge price. No matter what others thought, as long as they guarded here, they wouldn't let anyone in. Lin Fan cut off all paths of retreat. He was prepared to advance and retreat together with his father. If he were to die, then so be it. As the saying goes, life has always been forgotten. Anyway, he had nothing to fear. With just one sentence, he would just do it. Silver light covered the entire battlefield. Zhu Daoshan, Wu Zhige, and Shun Jingtian, the three strongest 9-star generals, were all stunned. He was going to use his ultimate move. Lin Wani was going to die together with him. If an expert wanted to die together with you, one wouldn't be able to survive. Especially someone like Lin Wani. The area around was locked down by the silver light. They sensed that this wasn't a normal power, but a foreign one. Wu Zhige hollered, "We can't all die here, otherwise it will be an unbearable disaster for the Alliance headquarters. Shun Jingtian, self-destruct and break this lockdown." Shun Jingtian looked at Wu Zhige with his mouth agape. He couldn't help but holler, "Wu Zhige, are you King sick? In the past, when people said that you were sick, I didn't believe them. Now, I can see that you really are sick. If someone wants to self-destruct, it should be you." He didn't expect Wu Zhige to say something so shameless. Could he at least have some self-awareness? Zhu Daoshan didn't expect Wu Zhige to say such words. But he agreed with what Wu Zhige said. Letting Shun Jingtian self-destruct to open up a path for them was a good choice. But he didn't say anything. The current situation was not suitable. It was better to let Wu Zhige communicate with Shun Jingtian. The situation is not good. Maybe we will be taken away by Lin Wani, Zhu Daoshan said. He sensed that the space-time power around was getting thicker and thicker. This was something that terrified him. He didn't expect Lin Wani to be so strong. For the strongest 9-star generals of the Alliance came to kill him, and one of them was actually killed. The three of them were injured before they managed to injure Lin Wani. They really didn't know what to say. Lin Fan didn't know what would happen next. However, he knew that his father would not let him off easily. Suddenly, the silver light dissipated and the sky became clear once more. "Father?" Lin Fan was confused and didn't understand what his father meant. Why did the silver light suddenly disappear? Was it because he used up too much energy and couldn't support it anymore? Lin Wani sucked in a deep breath and said slowly, "You unfilial kid. I told you to leave, so why didn't you?" He was so infuriated. What should he do later? Dying with the three of them was the worst thing he could do. With just a few of them, they want to exchange their lives with mine? Dream on. But the unfilial kid staying here messed up Lin Wani's tempo. It even made things a little tough for him. "Father, you just said that I was a good person. Why did you change just like that?" Lin Fan said helplessly. He could see a different feeling in his father's eyes. How should he put it? It was like he was prepared to do something, but because of Lin Fan's existence, he was unable to do anything. As expected, just like what he said, his father was someone who had a backup plan. Thinking about it, it made sense. How could such an outstanding person like his father allow himself to be captured? In Lin Fan's words, if he died with these few fools, it would be embarrassing. "Lin Wani, what are you doing?" Zhu Daoshan hollered in rage and acted like he was calm. They were really frightened just now. The main reason was that the power fluctuations were just too weird. It actually made them feel like they had cut off contact with the outside world. Zhu Daoshan looked around and felt really helpless. U City had lost, but so had their alliance. They had no one left. They really fought till the end, and there was no one left at all. Corpses lay all around, and blood energy surged into the sky. He was thinking, was all this worth it? No. How could he have such thoughts? Everything was worth it. "Father, what is going on?" Lin Fan didn't understand what his father was doing. Was it because of his existence, so he wanted to bring him away and not fight with him? Although it was a waste. He didn't want anything to happen to his father at all. It was enough that he had done so much. Even if he left, no one would say anything. Wu Zhiga said, Lin Wani, I think you should surrender and stop resisting. As long as you listen, I can ensure that you and your son won't die. Ha. Lin Wani laughed out loud like he was amused by his father's words. He then looked towards Lin Fan. Fan, remember, no matter what you see, you are not allowed to laugh. Lin Fan was a little confused. He didn't really understand what his father was talking about. Laugh? Why'd he have to laugh? With such a situation, what was there to laugh about? Father, I won't laugh. He didn't know why his father would say something like that. Could it be that something was about to happen? Very quickly, he knew why his father said that. Space-time interception. At that moment, Lin Wani hollered. The silver light that formed the halberd spread out like it was locking down a small area. Again, Zhu Daoshan felt that things weren't right. Lin Wani's methods were a little weird, and even they couldn't sense it clearly. Lin Wani sighed. He didn't want anyone to see it, and just wanted to leave him to fight the 3 9-star generals. But now that his son was here, what else could he do? Lin Fan felt like something was off. There was a weird energy flowing around his body. Lin Fan's eyes opened wide, and he looked on in disbelief. His arms seemed to turn into sand, and when the wind blew, it started to scatter. Lin Wani, what did you do to us? Zhu Daoshan hollered, and his face was filled with panic. They were the same. Their bodies started to turn into sand, and they tried their best to flee. But the surrounding space wasn't the same as before. Damn, what was the space-time source? Lin Wani's cultivation base had already reached the level where he could comprehend the power of essence. If he was really that strong, they would have been killed by him long ago. I will let you experience a different battle. All right, don't let me beat you up. Lin Wani laughed. There was a loud explosion. The silver light destroyed everything. Lin Fan couldn't see anything in front of him. His eyes were filled with silver. Oh my God, what was father doing? Why did he feel like something bad was about to happen? Very quickly, the silver light dissipated. Lin Fan felt like something wasn't right. He took a look and exclaimed, Damn! He stretched out his arms. Who did those short arms belong to? Also those legs and his clothes. Why was there only a piece of white cloth covering his crotch? Father. When he shouted, he realized that his voice was really immature. How did he turn into a kid? Just when the world was going on. This was impossible. This was simply impossible. Fan here. In the distance, a tender voice spread out. Although it sounded like it was really solemn, no matter what, it couldn't be faked. Lin Fan looked out, and when he saw the person in the distance, he was stunned. That was his father? Zhang Ye's father had also turned into a child. He looked to be about 4 or 5 years old. His hair was tied up in a ponytail, and there was only a piece of white cloth wrapped around his crotch. His body was slightly thin and not very strong. Father, Lin Fan was speechless and didn't know what to say. What was going on? If he hadn't personally witnessed it, he wouldn't have dared to believe it. Fan, this is the use of the time source. I can't control it now, so I can only take a small portion. Lin Wani said, but to Lin Fan he looked really weird. Also, was his father like this when he was young? Lin Wani, what are you doing? What's going on? Why did this happen? When the 3 strongest 9-star generals saw him, they were all stunned. How did this happen? Very quickly, they saw Lin Wani. Although they couldn't recognize him, apart from him, who else could it be? Lin Fan looked at the 3 9-star generals. These people were really evil. They actually ate so much that they were fat, and their bodies were much stronger than theirs. Fan, beat them up. If you hurt them here, it will affect their main bodies. This space can't last for long, and will be destroyed soon. Take this chance, Lin Wani said. Just as Lin Fan was about to say something, he saw Lin Fan's father striding forward with his short legs, raising his fists and shouting ferociously as he ran towards the 3 of them. Although it was a little weird, when the world was going on, he had no strength at all. It was like he had become a normal person. Damn. Chapter 362. Lin Wani knew that this would happen. He even treated this as his last resort. Zhu Daoshan was stunned and didn't come back to his senses for a long time. When he saw the kid running over, he laughed out loud. Lin Wani, you actually looked like this when you were young. What a joke. One couldn't blame him for laughing. When Lin Wani ran, the sky rocket cannon on his head shook, and that added to the hilarity of the scene. But Lin Wani's goal was clear, which was to kill the three of them. He wasn't joking at all. Zhu Daoshan came back to his senses and retracted his smile. He saw killing intent in Lin Wani's eyes. Damn, although I don't know what you did, looking at the situation, it seems like no one has any strength. Do you think we will be afraid of you? Zhu Daoshan hollered in rage. He raised his fist and punched Lin Wani. Lin Wani was really agile. He tilted his head and released his fist. He raised two fingers, stabbed his eyes. Ah! Zhu Daoshan cried out and covered his eyes as he rolled on the ground. Lin Wani, you bastard, you actually used such a despicable move. Lin Wani stabbed Zhu Daoshan's eyes, and his two fingers hurt a little. He was just a normal kid with no cultivation at all. He couldn't even beat adults. Zhu Daoshan's eyes turned red and tears flowed out. Lin Wani hollered and stepped on Zhu Daoshan's body. He raised his fist and punched Zhu Daoshan's face. Unfortunately, strength came from both sides. His fist landed on Zhu Daoshan's face, and it did hurt a lot. But Lin Wani's hand hurt too. What are the two of you looking at? Aren't you going to hurry up? Zhu Daoshan hollered. Wu Zhiga and Shun Jingtian reacted. Out of them, Shun Jingtian should have had the best family background. He was actually so fat at such a young age. He dashed forwards with his slightly fat legs and knocked Lin Wani to the side. He sat on Lin Wani's body and didn't care about anything else. He raised his fist and punched Lin Wani. Lin Wani opened his mouth and spat at Shun Jingtian. His saliva splattered, and it was like a mountain of gold. You're too disgusting. Shun Jingtian cried out in shock as he wiped his face. He had always been a clean freak since he was young. To think that someone would spit on his face right now, he had to wipe his face immediately. Lin Wani seized this opportunity and inserted two fingers into Shun Jingtian's nostrils. Ah! Shun Jingtian cried out tragically. It was simply too painful that his nose was bleeding. You fellas want to fight me? Lin Wani immediately climbed up and tightened the white cloth around his crotch. He had always been a fighting tyrant since he was young. Even if it was 1 against 3, he wouldn't be afraid. To be able to become a 9-star general in the Alliance meant that their family backgrounds weren't ordinary. Naturally, they were pampered from a young age, and they weren't as good at fighting as Lin Wani. Suddenly, Wu Zhiga removed the white cloth from Shun Jingtian's crotch and used it to strangle Lin Wani's neck. I'll strangle you to death. Wu Zhiga's chubby little hands gripped tightly onto the white cloth, and a fierce look appeared on his tender face. But how much strength could a 4-year-old child have? Even if he wanted to exert force, his strength was limited to that level. Lin Wani grabbed Wu Zhiga's hair. Wu Zhiga was about to die from the pain. He felt like his head was about to split open. Let go. Let go of me. Damn. He didn't expect Lin Wani to be so shameless. Even if everyone had changed, he shouldn't have used such a despicable method to beat someone. Shun Jingtian was so angry that his guts were about to explode. Shun Jingtian was so angry that he was about to explode. He was a 9-star general, and even if he turned back to when he was young, he would still be a 9-star general. Wu Zhiga, you are just too much. In the distance, Lin Fan was stunned, and when he heard the shouts, he came back to his senses. Damn, he actually hit my father. The first thing Lin Fan thought about was the small support system, but it disappeared. Thinking about it, it made sense. He didn't care anymore and just charged up to fight. Suddenly, he realized that there was a stone on the ground that looked like amber. There was something small inside. 9 Demon also came along, but it turned into this. He tested it in his hands, and it was a little hard. Okay, he would use it as a weapon and charge up to fight. Lin Fan wasn't used to his current body, but he still ran towards his father. Without saying a word, he raised a fist-sized stone and smashed it towards Wu Zhiga's head. F***ck your grandma. Pung. This strike didn't have much force behind it, but it still landed on Wu Zhiga's head. In an instant, Wu Zhiga's head swelled up, and a huge bump appeared on it. Wu Zhiga hugged his head and screamed. It was so painful that tears flowed down. You two bastards actually have weapons. If you have balls, then put it down and fight. Wu Zhiga hollered. Tears flowed, and he stared at Lin Fan in rage. Fan, where'd you get the stone from? Lin Wani asked. Father, this is 9 demon. I didn't expect the time source to make 9 demon like this. Lin Fan said. Lin Wani panted. The fight was too intense, and he used up too much stamina. He was a little tired and wanted to sit on the ground to rest. I got the time source by chance. Till now, I still haven't figured it out. But it is good that we have weapons. It is a huge advantage for us. Lin Wani's cultivation was high, but it wasn't high enough to comprehend the source. He was thinking about whether or not the time source would allow everyone to travel back to when they were young or bring their memories back. It was hard to say as it was too complicated. But all of that wasn't important anymore. The 3 fellows in front of him had been beaten to a pulp by his own play. Shun Jingtian had a huge problem with Wu Zhiga. He snatched the white claw from his hands and clumsily used it to cover his crotch. Damn, he was just an animal. He actually took away his white cloth. If he wanted to take something, he should have taken it from himself. Why did he take someone else's? Despicable, dirty, shameless scum. To Lin Fan, the time source might have really caused time to flow back, bringing his memories back to when he was young. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to explain where his small support system went. Zhu Daoshan's eyes were still red and a little swollen. Don't split up. We are much stronger than the 2 of them. 3 against 2 isn't a loss. At least if we have a chance, we will fight them to the death. Wu Zhiga said, Damn, we are too weak. We don't have the strength to do many things. Fight! Instantly, the 5 children yelled and started to fight. Lin Fan raised the amber stone in his hand and smashed it towards Wu Zhiga. Wu Zhiga raised his hand and grabbed Lin Fan's wrist. Kid, you are weaker than your father. Pong. Lin Fan raised his leg and kicked Wu Zhiga's crotch. Oh, Wu Zhiga clenched his leg and his mouth turned into an O shape. His body twitched as he retreated. It was so painful that his eyes started to roll back. Pain. It was really painful. He didn't expect this kid to be even more despicable and shameless than his father. A 4 or 5-year-old kid definitely wouldn't be able to use that thing in the crotch. However, being kicked was still very painful. Luckily, Lin Fan was also a kid and didn't have much strength. Otherwise, that kick just now would have been a total loss. To Lin Fan, he was just thinking about whether or not he should enter the kindergarten or rape them. But now, it seemed like they were on the same level. It was just a matter of who was dirtier. He looked out. He realized that father was biting Zhu Daoshan's ear, and one of his fingers was in Shun Jingtian's nose. His nose was bleeding. Dirty. What a dirty move. How could father be so overbearing? Lin Wani, let go of us. As an expert, you actually used such a despicable move. Don't you feel ashamed? Aya, F asterisk CK. Are you AF asterisk King Dog? Lin Fan was at ease. Father was fighting 1 against 2 and wasn't at a disadvantage. Wu Zhiga was his target. So how could he be arrogant? Without saying a word, Lin Fan charged forwards with his short legs. He raised the amber stone and smashed it towards Wu Zhiga's head. Wu Zhiga's face was ashen white, and he broke out in a cold sweat. He turned around and wanted to flee. Lin Fan growled and lifted his leg to kick. Ouch! Wu Zhiga fell to the ground, and Lin Fan also slipped and fell. His body quality was just too weak. It was such a simple combo, yet there was a problem. How embarrassing. But all of that wasn't a problem anymore. Lin Fan climbed up and chased. He was shorter than Wu Zhiga, so he jumped up and smacked his head. Wu Zhiga's head swelled up once more. He cried out. It was so painful that it tore at his heart. Go to hell. Lin Fan hollered. The amber stone smashed down on Wu Zhiga's head. Although it wasn't enough to make his head bleed, it was enough to make Wu Zhiga's head swell. Then, Lin Fan looked towards father and realized that he was fighting with the 2 of them. Father was fighting 1 against 2 and wasn't at a disadvantage. Even a white cloth covering the 3 of them was removed. Chickens clashed with chickens and rubbed against each other. Damn. Damn. The 3 of them cursed in rage. Lin Fan got up right away and charged towards father. When he saw Zhu Daoshan laying on father's body and sticking out his butt, Lin Fan was furious. He kicked Zhu Daoshan's butt. Aya! Lin Fan hugged his leg and gritted his teeth. It was so painful. Zhu Daoshan's, but was an unbearable pain from that kick. Lin Fan picked up the amber stone and smashed it towards the back of Shun Jingtian's head. Pata! Shun Jingtian screamed and laid on the ground, not moving at all. You learned so quickly. Lin Wani picked up the white cloth and covered his crotch. Fanner, kill one first. Father, we are too weak, so how can we kill them? Lin Fan asked. That was indeed the case. They were just too weak. There was already an amber stone on his head, but he still didn't bleed. They were just too weak. Wu Zhiga and Zhu Daoshan didn't climb up and just cried out in pain. Lin Wani turned Shun Jingtian around and wrapped his arms around his neck. Fanner, smash his face. Shun Jingtian, who was acting like he was unconscious, came to his senses. When he saw Lin Fan walking over, he panicked. Don't be rash, we're just kids. Son, your head. Lin Fan didn't show mercy and smashed the amber stone towards Shun Jingtian's face. Chapter 363. For some reason, Lin Wani felt fortunate that he had brought Fanner over. If not, with him alone, who knew what the outcome would be like? But he would definitely win. That was confidence. Shun Jingtian's face was covered in blood. He was crying out in pain, but very quickly, his cries became weaker and weaker. Lin Fan smashed him viciously and his eyes were bloodshot. It seemed like 5 kids fighting was really funny, but they were really risking their lives. The U-City experts fought to the end to make the Alliance pay a heavy price. Father went all out to create such a situation so that he could use the time source to kill these 3 surviving Alliance experts. Let him go. Zhu Daoshan covered his butt and looked at Shun Jingtian's tragic state. He was shocked and terrified. If this continued, he would really die. Lin Fan and Lin Wani turned around and looked at Zhu Daoshan coldly. Their gazes made Zhu Daoshan panic. He turned around and didn't bother about him. He continued to do what he wanted. One of them strangled his neck while the other used a stone to smash Shun Jingtian's face. Fresh blood scattered all over the ground. Lin Wani felt that his arm was a little sore, but he gritted his teeth. He stepped on the ground and wanted to kill Shun Jingtian. Zhu Daoshan saw that Lin Wani didn't bother about him and was so furious that he wanted to charge up. But when he thought about how he might die, he became afraid. Lin Wani, let's talk nicely. Some things can be solved. The Alliance headquarters doesn't want all of you to die, but all of you are blocking the way. We could talk about it. Zhu Daoshan said. Lin Wani laughed coldly. It is too late to talk now. Wu Zhiga, where are you? Why aren't you coming over? Zhu Daoshan shouted, but his tender voice made one want to laugh. He looked into the distance and saw Wu Zhiga squatting there and rubbing his head like he was in pain. Kacha! A crisp sound spread out. Zhu Daoshan's expression was really interesting. He opened his mouth and looked at him in shock. That was the sound of his neck snapping. Didn't that mean that Shun Jingtian was really dead? Lin Wani panted. His right arm was about to lose feeling and he had no strength left at all. Zhu Daoshan, Wu Zhiga, the 2 of you are next. Lin Wani looked at the 2 of them viciously. He then removed the white cloth from Shun Jingtian's crotch and was prepared to strangle them with it. Son, are you tired? Lin Wani was really tired. The existence of space-time source might be the symbol of the highest realm of Dao realm. He hadn't reached that realm, but it didn't mean that it didn't exist. Otherwise, there was really no other explanation. I'm not tired. Lin Fan wasn't tired at all. His body was filled with energy. He had fought for so long, and without the small support system, he should have been exhausted, but he wasn't. This made Lin Fan a little suspicious. Could it be that my little support system still exists, but I haven't found it yet? If that wasn't the case, then why wasn't he tired at all? Why was he so energetic? Lin Wani panted and struggled to stand up. Son, let's kill him together. All right. Lin Fan was filled with fighting intent. He was just a 9-star general. If he couldn't beat him outside, he could definitely beat him here. Zhu Daoshan retreated. He was a little afraid and a little nervous. Damn, there were 3 of them, and they actually couldn't beat the 2 of them. Moreover, they were slightly fatter, so one of them was killed just like that. That was just too much. Kill! Lin Wani hollered in rage and pounced towards Zhu Daoshan. Zhu Daoshan ran with a crying tone. Don't chase me, Wu Zhiga panted. When he saw Lin Wani and Lin Fan chase Zhu Daoshan, he heaved a sigh of relief. Good, continue to chase. Let me rest. Space-time source. How could there be such a source? It was just illogical. Wu Zhiga, save me, Wu Zhiga. Zhu Daoshan didn't dare to stop. The two people behind were just too terrifying. He also hated himself for growing fatter. His speed was obviously a little slow. There were many times when he was nearly caught up. Lin Wani was really tired and his speed had decreased. But Lin Fan wasn't tired at all. He was really quick, but the white cloth at his crotch was a little unfriendly. It felt really weird. Father, flank them. I will chase from behind, Lin Fan said. Who knew that an intense battle would actually end up like this? No matter what, Zhu Daoshan was one of the strongest 9-star generals in the Alliance. Now that he was being chased by him, it felt really good. As for tossing the stone in his hand, that was impossible. He wasn't that strong, and that was a huge problem. Lin Wani flanked him from the side. To Zhu Daoshan, he was just like a demon. His tender voice sounded like he was crying. He was beaten up badly, and if he was caught, he would probably die. Wu Zhiga, come and help me, otherwise we will all die. Zhu Daoshan hollered. Wu Zhiga looked at Zhu Daoshan, who was fleeing, and didn't think much about it. He just looked on and remembered what Lin Wani said. The time source wouldn't last for too long, and he just needed to wait for that time to come. As for Zhu Daoshan's cries for help, forget it. They just had to protect themselves, and he couldn't care about anything else. While they weren't harassing him, it was best if he had a good rest. His small body was so weak, and he was so tired from just fighting. If Zhu Daoshan was killed, he would have to flee. No matter what, he had to last until the space-time source ended. Zhu Daoshan cried out in pain. Lin Fan chased and pinned him to the ground. Lin Wani pounced on Zhu Daoshan's body and grabbed his hair. He used all his strength to smash Zhu Daoshan's head into the ground. Pung! Pung! Zhu Daoshan's heart turned cold, and he felt like he was finished. He was going to die like Shun Jingtian. Kacha! Just at that moment, the special space formed by the space-time source shattered. Son, it is about to shatter. Quick! Lin Wani said. Lin Fan was anxious. He wouldn't be able to kill Zhu Daoshan in such a short amount of time. But no matter what, he had to leave a deep memory for Zhu Daoshan. Lin Fan retreated and then ran up. He kicked towards Zhu Daoshan's crotch. Pung! Kacha! The space shattered. The surrounding environment changed, and he returned. Lin Fan lowered his head and looked at himself. Nothing had changed. Nine Demon was still merged into his body, and his father was standing in front of him. The only thing was that the silver pillar was gone. Father, are we back? Lin Fan asked. Lin Wani stood there and didn't move at all. We never disappeared. Then, Lin Fan looked into the distance. He didn't know what was going on with the 3 9-star generals, especially Shun Jingtian, who had been killed by them. Who knew whether or not he was still alive? In the distance, Zhu Daoshan and the others were terrified. When they realized that they were back, they heaved a sigh of relief like a stone had been lifted from their shoulders. Huh! Shun Jingtian burst out laughing. Lin Wani, you're really strong. You really scare me to death just now. But it's a pity that this thing of yours is useless. Look at me standing here, perfectly fine. Tell me, what did you do to me just now? Was it because you were unwilling to accept it, so you imagined it? Naturally, Shun Jingtian was the most afraid. The arrival of death terrified him so much that he broke out in a cold sweat. Now that he woke up and realized that nothing had happened, he heaved a sigh of relief. But suddenly, Shun Jingtian's expression changed, and he felt that something wasn't right. He hollered. His eyeballs popped out. What happened to you? Zhu Daoshan looked at Shun Jingtian and was so shocked that he didn't know what to say. Damn it, how did this happen for no reason? Shun Jingtian's neck caved in like it was being squeezed. At the same time, fresh blood seeped out from his face. More and more blood flowed out, and instantly he was covered in blood. Save! Before he could say anything, Shun Jingtian died right away. How is that possible? Zhu Daoshan's mouth was agape, and he didn't dare to believe what he was seeing. How could such a small injury kill Shun Jingtian? He had cultivated the undying body, so he should have been able to recover from such injuries. Shortly after, another scream spread out. Wu Zhiga did not take this matter to heart, but when he saw the state that Shun Jingtian was in, he was stunned. Immediately after, he felt a splitting headache. There were continuous banging sounds as though someone was attacking his head. Instantly, many holes appeared in his head and fresh blood flowed out. His aura was much weaker than before. That can't be. Zhu Daoshan looked at the two of them and thought back to what happened inside. Although he was beaten up badly, Lin Wani's son seemed to have kicked him. Pung! Something exploded. Zhu Daoshan lowered his head and realized that his pants were dyed red. Shortly after, many bloody holes appeared on his body, and his ears were ripped open too. Ah! Screams rang out. Fan not bad, Lin Wani said. Lin Fan smiled. Father, it is okay. At that moment, he realized that injuries appeared on his father's body. At the same time, a blood mist appeared. These were all injuries from the fight in the time source, and in the end, they landed on his main body. Lin Fan frowned, and his injuries started to show up too. Recover. He directly used the blood demon reversal technique to recover his injuries. Lin Fan supported Lin Wani. Father, are you okay? Lin Wani took in a deep breath and raised his hand. I am okay. I didn't expect the time source to be so magical. Unfortunately, I only managed to kill Shun Jingtian. If I had more time, I would have been able to kill the two of them. At this moment, their injuries were really heavy for Lin Wani and Zhu Daoshan. Lin Wani, you are really vicious. Two of the strongest 9-star generals died in your hands. One day, you will pay the price for your actions. Zhu Daoshan hollered in rage. At the same time, he looked at Lin Fan in rage. Lin Fan looked at him calmly and nodded his head like he was saying something. The pain of his balls breaking was okay. Anyway, he was old and didn't need it anymore. The battle ended just like that. Zhu Daoshan and Wu Zhiga left right away. Or rather, they fled. But to the Alliance, they had won. P.S. Follow my official account. Search Xinfeng. Chapter 364. Lin Fan looked on as Zhu Daoshan and Wu Zhiga left. He didn't stop them as he knew that he wouldn't be able to. Although his father seemed fine, he knew that he wasn't in a good situation. He was like Zhu Daoshan and Wu Zhiga. Both of them were badly injured. Father, what a waste. We were nearly able to kill them. Lin Fan said. It was really a waste. Just a little bit more. If the time source could last a little longer, they would have definitely been able to kill the two of them. Lin Wani gave out a low grunt. Lin Fan turned his head and saw that his father was bleeding. It was obvious that his injuries in the time source were quite serious. Father, are you okay? Lin Fan asked worriedly. Lin Wani raised his hand. I am fine. It is just a small injury. All right, what did you see in the time source? That question was a little serious. Father asked that because he wanted to ask about that short leg and what the Sky Cannon looked like. He understood. Father didn't want him to be here. So, that style was too overbearing. No, I was blinded and didn't see anything. Lin Fan replied. He had to act like he didn't see anything. Lin Wani looked at the battlefield that was riddled with holes, and his expression became much darker. You all chose this path when you knew the outcome. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to bring all of you to the end. He closed his eyes, and the familiar person appeared in his mind before slowly disappearing. Lin Fan looked around. Such an intense battle had ended. To him, there was no winner or loser. Both sides had paid a huge price. Father said that Yu City lost because he alone couldn't defend this place. In the end, the defense here was broken by the Alliance. Kachi. Suddenly, a soft sound spread into his ears. I'm still alive? Zhang Tianshan pushed aside the stone on his body and climbed out of the hole in a daze. When he saw Lin Fan and Lin Wani, joy appeared on his face. But very quickly, he was shocked by the situation around. They are all dead. He laid out the formation and went all out. In the end, he was hit by the shock waves of the battle and fainted. He thought that he had died, but looking at the situation, he wasn't. However, Everything around him was hard for him to accept. Zhang Tianshan, it's over. Lin Fan noticed that Zhang Tianshan's gaze was a little off, like he couldn't accept everything that had happened. Gradually, Zhang Tianshan opened his mouth slightly as if he wanted to say something, but he hesitated as if he was stuck. Then, he knelt on the ground and buried his head. He kept muttering to himself that too many people had died. Lin Wani was a bit worried, but he quickly calmed down. It wasn't that he was cold-blooded and didn't care, but rather that after guarding this place for so long, he had long gotten used to it. Death wasn't scary to the people guarding this place. If they could bring more Alliance experts with them, it would be a win-win situation. Lin Fan quickly adjusted his state of mind. "Father, what should we do now?" Lin Fan asked. It was obvious that they couldn't stay here anymore. Many Alliance 9-star generals had died, but so what? The Alliance headquarters was their pillar. If experts died, then they would send more. No matter how many experts died, they had to break through the defense. Although his father was strong, it was impossible for him to block the entire Alliance alone. Unless he was the strongest in the world and no one could compare to him, it would be reasonable for him to use absolute strength to crush them. But it was far from enough. Lin Wani looked at Lin Fan and kept silent for a long while. His palm landed on his shoulder. "Fanner, you have grown up and you have the ability to protect yourself. From now on, I won't take care of you. I'm going to find some old friends, so you have to take good care of yourself." Understood, Father," Lin Fan replied. Naturally, Father had his own reasons for not bringing him along. But with Father's strength, naturally, he wouldn't face any danger. Moreover, he wanted to roam the world by himself. If he followed beside Father, there would be some things that he wouldn't be able to do, so why not just do it alone? Now that Father called him Fanner, he wasn't used to it. He still liked it when Father called him an unfilial son. That was a great feeling. "Tianshan, this place has ended. The other defense lines will retreat. Hide well, and don't show your head," Lin Wani said. Zhang Tianshan's strength wasn't strong, but his attainments and formations were outstanding. In this battle, he had helped out a lot. Haze. Zhang Tianshan wanted to say something, but in the end, he just sighed and didn't know what to say. Suddenly, another voice spread out. "I'm not dead." The tone of the voice was filled with shock and even surprise, like he didn't expect this to happen. Many pieces of stone were pushed aside. A pink little pig came out of the ground. This little pig was about the size of a small dog, and its body was covered in dust. When it came out of the ground, it shook its body to shake off the dust on its body. "Master Lin." The pink pig opened its mouth. Lin Fan looked at the pig in shock and said in disbelief, "Gods, didn't you already?" He saw Zhu Shun being swallowed by a black and vicious wild boar and then self-destructing, killing many 9-star generals. But what was going on? Why was he still alive? That was just too shocking. "Young Master Lin, that's right, I did die, but I didn't expect that I would still be alive. But my perspective and body feel a little different." Gods felt that his body was really weird, and he had an indescribable feeling. When he looked down, he could only see his calves. Damn, could it be that he had been beaten short by someone? "Zhu Shun, you really turned into a pig." Lin Fan didn't want to be so direct, but since things had happened, he could only accept it. This was why he told Zhu Shun the truth, so that he could accept reality and face the future. Zhu Shun was shocked. He lowered his head and looked at his legs. He was so shocked that his soul nearly left his body. Oh my God, weren't these pig feet? In the past, when he hid his identity in U City, he was a pig killer. How'd I end up like this? My life was full of heroes, so how did I end up like a pig? Zhu Shun cried out. Even if he was strong and calm, when he realized such a situation, his heart exploded like he had seen a ghost. Zhang Tianshan consoled. "Zhu Shun, don't be too sad. Maybe this is because you killed too many pigs and the heavens gave you special treatment. But no matter what, at least you are alive. The others don't even have a chance to live." When Zhu Shun heard Zhang Tianshan's words, he wanted to kill him. But when he heard the latter half, he really kept silent. His pig nose smelled blood. Are they all dead? Zhu Shun was a little depressed. He hollered towards the sky to vent the rage in his heart, but his voice turned into grunts. As expected, it was not bad that he could speak. The pig sound was still there. Zhu Shun, you will follow Fan in the future. Lin Wani was going to an important place, and the outcome was unknown. He couldn't bring Zhu Shun and the others, so Zhu Shun followed Fan was the best choice. Of course, the main reason was that Lin Wani was worried that if Zhu Shun went out like that, the refugees would notice him and he would be turned into pig bone soup. Zhu Shun looked at Lin Wani with a weird expression. Master Lin, I know what you are worried about. But I have to say that after turning into a pig, I realized that my cultivation is still there. It is just a little restricted. Maybe this has something to do with the wild boar sealed in the blade. Zhu Shun wasn't a fool. He felt like the reason why he was still alive was probably because of the wild boar in the blade. But it is not bad to follow young Master Lin. Yu City has ended and we have given our all. What happens next isn't something we can stop. Zhu Shun still couldn't accept that Yu City had been taken down by the Alliance. But the reality was right in front of his eyes, and he couldn't help but believe it. It was too intense, and many good friends had died. He remembered this hatred, and one day he would definitely take revenge. Father, let's go in case the Alliance sends experts over. With our current situation, we might not be able to block them. Lin Fan said. Yu City was finished, but one couldn't underestimate the situation at the Alliance headquarters. Zhu Daoxin and Wu Zhiga had left for a long time, and they would definitely report the situation back. As long as the Alliance headquarters weren't too stupid, they would definitely send experts over to clear the area. And let's go. Lin Wani looked at Yu City and was a little reluctant, but he had no choice. So what if he was reluctant? The Alliance won. What happened next became really complicated. They weren't just facing the Alliance anymore. The internal situation was going to be chaotic. The Imperial dynasty was about to fall, and the top sects would all attack. Of course, they wouldn't attack now and would at least wait until the Alliance entered this place. Very quickly, Lin Fan and the others left Yu City. When they left, Lin Wani flipped his palm and the ground flipped. It was as if there was an earth dragon rumbling in the ground, covering all the corpses with dirt. He couldn't bring them away. He could only bury them here. Laozhan City, Alliance main camp. Zhao Lishan brought people to break into the Alliance main camp and dealt a heavy blow to the Alliance. Brother Lin, Zhao Lishan exclaimed. They broke into the Alliance main camp because Lin Wani sent people to inform them. As expected, Xianlong wasn't here. Without an expert, the Alliance main camp collapsed. Although there was an intense battle, Laozhan City paid a small price to wipe out the Alliance main camp. It was a huge victory. Should we continue? The Laozhan City expert asked. They had a great time killing, and they didn't expect that it would feel so good. Zhao Lishan shook his head. Let's leave Laozhan City. When the Laozhan City experts heard this, they were shocked like they didn't expect that. Leave. Chapter 365. Master Zhao, why do we have to leave? We have already broken through the Alliance's main camp, so we should use this chance to head in. Even if we don't, we should occupy this place and stop the Alliance in their own territory. The Laozhan City experts were confused, and at the same time, they were a little unwilling. They had already succeeded, so why did they have to retreat? Old Shin looked at Zhao Lishan and frowned. He thought about how Xianlong wasn't here and thought about a possibility. Did something happen at Yu City? Maigu City was broken through, and the remaining ones were mainly around Yu City. As long as Yu City wasn't broken, they could continue to defend here. Now that Zhao Lishan said that they were retreating, there was only one possibility. Something happened at Yu City. Zhao Lishan didn't hide anything and told them about the situation. After they heard the truth, they were stunned. They didn't expect that Lin Wani knew that the Alliance headquarters would send experts to attack. He also knew that Yu City wouldn't be able to defend, so he informed the other cities for them to seize the chance to attack. It wasn't to occupy Alliance territory. It was to use this chance to kill more Alliance experts. Old Shin kept silent for a long while, and then said, "Do you think all of this is worth it?" "Yes," Zhao Lishan said firmly. Everything Brother Lin did was to fight against the Alliance. is the same for us here. At least it is worth it to fight against the alliance. Inform everyone to retreat from Laozhan City. Not only were the people from Laozhan City retreating, but even the other defense lines were retreating. Of course, naturally, they could stay here to block the alliance's path. However, this was a meaningless obstruction that would only lead to the deaths of everyone present. Lin Wani was a confident person. If he said that he could block them, then no matter how many people they sent, they would be able to block them. But if he said that he couldn't, then he really couldn't. This was why those who were familiar with Lin Wani chose to believe him. This was why they took the chance to attack when the alliance attacked U City. Of course, when they received the news, naturally, they could choose to head to U City to fight the alliance with Lin Wani. But the alliance wouldn't be so stupid as to attack without an advantage. In the end, U City might not be broken and the other defense lines might be broken. Far away from U City, Lin Wani looked at Lin Fan. Unfilial kid, listen up. Don't cause trouble. Don't cause trouble. During this period of time, don't clash with the alliance and also don't clash with the top sections. Do you understand? Lin Fan did not really want to hear what his father had to say. What did he mean by no conflict? If there was no conflict, then what was the point of life? And Dad, don't worry. I will definitely listen to you. Lin Fan's expression was solemn, and he spoke very seriously as if he was really obedient. Zhu Shun, look out, Lin Wani said. As for Zhang Tianshan, he was basically useless. If he was really useful, this unfilial kid wouldn't have appeared in U City. Zhu Shun raised his head and looked at Master Lin. Did he say something wrong? Now that he had turned into a pig, what else could he do? But forget it, he could only nod his head silently. Understood. Following this, Lin Wani left. He left decisively and didn't stop at all. To him, there were more important things to do. Who could be blamed for the destruction of U City? No one could be blamed. If they wanted to blame someone, they could only blame themselves for not being strong enough and for not being united enough. If they were united enough, then such a thing wouldn't have happened. If all the top sects worked together, they would be able to block all enemies, and even counterattack wouldn't be a problem. What a waste. Their thoughts were beautiful, but the reality was really cruel. One couldn't just do whatever they wanted. Young Master Lin, what are your plans now? Zhu Shen asked. He was half a piece of trash now. So what could he do if he turned into a pig? He had a huge headache, but luckily, he had a way to fight back. This feeling of not being used to it was just temporary. After a period of time, he would get used to it. Lin Fan said, let's look at the situation and see what the alliance does next. This place is still safe, so let's rest here for a short while. Zhang Tianshan sat there and didn't say anything. Maybe he was still thinking about U City. Too many people died. To Zhang Tianshan, when he closed his eyes, the scenes from 20 years ago would appear in his mind. It was still really tragic, but it wasn't as bad as today. Bug transformation was removed. Right now, Lin Fan was still fused together with Nine Demon. However, the fusion this time around gave Lin Fan a different feeling. Instantly, a black liquid flowed down from Lin Fan's body. It didn't stain anything and didn't dirty his clothes. At the same time, a black mist seeped out from his body. Not long later, Nine Demon appeared. There was nothing wrong with it, but it felt much weaker. Maybe because it was too tired. After all, Nine Demon didn't have unlimited stamina like Lin Fan. The bug controlling technique's special true essence seeped out to replenish Nine Demon's stamina. After a long while, Nine Demon slowly recovered. Young Master Lin, this is Insect Valley's bug controlling technique. This is also Nine Demon, a really strong species, but it is different from the mother. Zhu Shen said. He had seen the mother before, and its aura was amazing. Only the Insect Valley head could have it. Lin Fan smiled and was really calm. As for Zhu Shan saying that Nine Demon was different from the mother, he didn't care much about it. He had never seen what a mother looked like, so he wasn't too curious. Zhu Shun, can you change back to how you are now? He was really curious about how Zhu Shun became like that. A person turned into a pig for no reason. This change was just too huge. If he hadn't personally witnessed it, he wouldn't have dared to believe it. It was just too shocking. Zhu Shun shook his head regretfully and felt a little depressed. Impossible. I won't hide it from young Master Lin, but it doesn't matter. As long as I have my cultivation, I can kill the Alliance. Now that Master Lin told us to hide, we are waiting for a chance. The chance that Zhu Shun mentioned was the top sex resistance. The Alliance headquarters definitely wouldn't let the top sex have such an easy time and would definitely target them. Actually, it wasn't that the top sex didn't think about that, but that each of them had their own fantasies. At the same time, they were confident enough that they felt that the sect were strong and the Alliance wouldn't ask for trouble. Or that there were so many top sects, so even if there was trouble, it wouldn't fall on their heads. Lin Fan didn't know what Zhu Shun was thinking. He had already become like that, but he was still able to act like he didn't care. Respect. He really respected him. He then realized that Zhang Tianshan was in a daze. Oi, why are you still in a daze? Things have already happened, so there is no point in thinking about it. Zhang Tianshan smiled bitterly. Haze, I know that there is no point in thinking about it. I am just a little unwilling. We fought to the death to defend against the Alliance, but they just watched from the back. They knew how dangerous the Alliance headquarters was, but they were willing to gamble for their own benefits. This is their choice. In the future, these top sects will be enemies, and we will fight them whenever we see them. There will be no room for negotiation. Lin Fan said. Zhu Shun said, Fight? Young Master Lin, didn't you say that it was their choice? How did they become enemies? Lin Fan said, It was my choice to become enemies. I don't care whether or not they have animosity with me. If I think that they do, then they do. After this battle, I have comprehended some things, and I will cultivate them. Pay attention to the situation around. Nine Demon, lay there and don't make too much noise. Nine Demon laid there in a well-behaved manner. When his cultivation rose to Dao Realm, the small support system changed. It was just that he didn't have time to study it at that time. Now that everything was in the past, it was time to study it. Looking closely, the introduction of the small support system had changed. Dao Body, Dao Realm Stage 1, Dao Pattern Realm, 6 Outer Daos, Dao Essence, Dao Realm Stage 1, Dao Pattern Realm for Inner Daos, Heart Cultivation, Cultivation Technique, Secret Technique, Blood Demon Reversal Technique, Dao Pattern, 73 Merge, None Rage Points, 20355 overall. There weren't many changes, but there were some changes. At the same time, the merge function appeared. It should have been the merging of cultivation techniques. Interesting, I have to study it. Lin Fan thought about it. God Body and True Essence changed, and the numbers disappeared too. The Dao Body Cultivation Technique produced 6 Dao patterns, and Dao Cloud produced 4. Along with the 63 from the Cultivation Technique, he had a total of 73. He had just stepped into Dao Realm Stage 1, and his combat strength had become so strong. It was obvious that it had something to do with the Dao patterns. Wu Zhiga and Zhu Daoshan fled from Yu City. Although they broke through Yu City, the Alliance suffered heavy losses. They returned to the main camp and reported the situation. When the Alliance headquarters learned of the situation, they were in chaos. Of the 38 marshals, only 2 returned in the end. F***CK, why don't you go and die? Although 6 of them were experts from Hell Mountain and Ocean Emperor Island, 30 Alliance 9-star generals died there. 2 of them were the strongest 9-star generals. This was a loss that the Alliance headquarters couldn't bear. The only thing worth being happy about was that Yu City was finally broken through. But the price was just too huge. It was so huge that the Alliance couldn't take it. They thought that many people would be sacrificed, but they didn't expect that so many 9-star generals would be sacrificed, especially the 2 strongest 9-star generals. Jerk! Zhu Daoshan's face flushed red, and he really wanted to head back to kill him. But he knew that he had reached his limit. As for informing the Alliance experts to head over to Yu City to take a look, it wasn't necessary. After all, no one would wait there. But he still had to do what he had to do. Wu Zhiga, if you weren't united enough, this wouldn't have happened. Zhu Daoshan vented his rage on Wu Zhiga. Wu Zhiga was infuriated by Zhu Daoshan's words. Damn, could he be any more shameless? Things had already happened, and he actually started to push the blame. How despicable and shameless. Naturally, the two of them started to argue. When they learned that the various defense lines were broken through by the natives, their hearts were dripping blood. The price was just too huge. His chest felt like it was blocked by something, and he couldn't even breathe properly. Chapter 366. Alliance Headquarters Meeting Room. A bunch of elders sat up straight, and all of them gathered here for a meeting. Among them, one of the big shots was furious. Wu Zhiga and Zhu Daoshan have to take responsibility. They pushed the Alliance into the abyss. Hell Mountain and Ocean Emperor Island have questioned them and suspect whether or not we con them. Everyone looked at one another. Those words were a little too much. What do you mean con them? Our Alliance headquarters lost 39-star generals, and 2 of them were the strongest. Just to count of 6 of them? Right, Hell Mountain and Ocean Emperor Island didn't even use their brains before speaking. Anyway, this is all Wu Zhiga and Zhu Daoshan's fault. The meeting room was a hodgepodge. Everyone was discussing this matter. A white-bearded old man sitting in the middle said, "Okay, there's no need to argue. Although we suffered huge losses, it is worth it to be able to break into your city." Wu Zhiga and Zhu Daoshan fought for the Alliance headquarters and went through life and death battles. If you were blaming them, then why didn't all of you go? The moment he said this, everyone was speechless and felt a little awkward. Go and get a hammer. Shun Jingtian and Wang Yu were both killed, which was enough to show how intense the battle was. If they had gone over, they would most likely have been the ones to die. In a battle between pinnacle experts, one couldn't rely on numbers to instantly kill the other party. No matter how many people there was a chance that they would be killed. This was why everyone knew that if they went, they might die. This was why it was better to let those who were willing to go. The white-bearded old man continued. Now that the outcome has been decided, there is no need to say anything more. Based on intelligence, the remaining 7 defense lines are empty. It is time for the Alliance to attack. Gather the troops and occupy the cities at the border with the 9-star generals. Support King Wudong and make him a puppet of the Alliance to stabilize the Imperial Dynasty natives and those families. Don't bother about the top sects and just let them be. Everyone listened to the white-bearded old man's arrangements and understood that this was the best way. If they were too intense, they would definitely retaliate. The Alliance headquarters people felt that victory was waving at them. At the same time, the Alliance headquarters hid many things about the border battle and spread the news of their victory. They definitely didn't dare to spread the news of the 39-star generals dying. Otherwise, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. But just as the Alliance headquarters announced this matter, another piece of news appeared on the Alliance platform. 39-star generals and numerous Alliance members died. When this content appeared, it shocked everyone. It was as if they had seen a ghost, and it had a huge impact on the Alliance. The Alliance headquarters locked down this content right away. Despicable peace seekers. The first thing the Alliance warmongers thought of was the actions of the peace faction. Who else could it be other than them? The appearance of a peace faction within the Alliance was a dangerous signal for many people. Zhu Shun looked at young Master Lin cultivating and was thinking about how amazing young Master Lin was. How'd he cultivate? In such a short time, he actually reached such a realm. That was just too terrifying. He didn't disturb young Master Lin's cultivation. He looked towards Zhang Tianshan and noticed that this fellow was still a little depressed. Zhang Tianshan, what are you feeling down about? How can there be no deaths in war? Take it easy. Zhu Shun's attitude towards Zhang Tianshan became much better. In the past, he called him a coward, but now his impression of him had changed. Zhang Tianshan shook his head. I understand the logic, but I just find it hard to accept. Can your body change back? I can't. Zhu Shun didn't have much of a reaction. He didn't care much about whether or not he could change back. He laid on the ground, and his eyes gave off a human-like glow as he thought about the problems he had to face in the future. Chaos was about to occur. This was something that no one could stop. Lin Fan was studying the merger problem. The first thing he looked at was the cultivation technique column. It was shining, and that meant that he could merge them. Dragon Elephant Sword Dao and Heaven-Shocking Sword Dao fused together. He didn't need to consume rage points, and the two sword techniques merged to form a new cultivation technique. Merged into God's Shocking Sword with two Dao patterns. Lin Fan found it weird and didn't expect such a shocking change to occur. The merged technique turned into a brand new one. At the same time, it had two Dao patterns and was even stronger. Not bad. Only those who stepped into this realm could sense the mysteriousness of the Dao realm. He was the gatekeeper of the Dao realm. He had just entered the Dao realm, so no matter whether or not he was happy, he was definitely going to reach this realm. Out of the 63 techniques, apart from bug controlling technique, he could merge all of them. The 31 cultivation techniques that were fused in the end all contained two Dao patterns. I have more choices to become stronger. That was indeed the case. There was a huge improvement and change. He was thinking about whether or not he could continue to merge, but he realized that apart from bug controlling technique, the 31 techniques couldn't be merged and were in a gray state. Suddenly, when Lin Fan looked at his own situation, he realized that there were some changes in the Darkness God domain. In the empty domain, there was actually a statue that wasn't really clear and wasn't even complete. Only half of its body was there, and the body above the chest was gray. As expected, it is starting to change. What will it be like in the end? A few days later. Congratulations, Your Majesty. The border has been broken through. Our chance is here. When Lucien found out about the news, he was so excited that he couldn't sleep. He was really pumped up. King Wudong's fingers shook and his heart was really unsettled. Oh my God, how did this happen? He didn't dare to believe that this was true. The border was broken through, so what he was worried about was finally going to happen. There was no turning back on the path of rebellion. He finally understood what his brother meant. From now on, he would decide for himself. Did brother know the outcome long ago, which was why he told him that? Your Majesty, what happened to you? Lucien saw that King Wudong was stunned and thought that the news was too shocking, so he couldn't react. King Wudong felt bitter deep down, but he couldn't show it. He said calmly, "Nothing, I was just too happy. I didn't expect the chance to come just like that." "Gee, you are too beautiful." Damn, if he knew that this would happen, even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't have teamed up with his brother to act. Now he was placed on a stake with no room to turn back. He didn't even know what to do. He could only grit his teeth and walk down step by step. Lu Xian smiled. "Your Majesty, I can understand your joy. Although the border was broken and the alliance entered, as long as you think of a good strategy, you can naturally become a hunter." His words sounded like he was bragging. He really didn't know how to become a hunter. But looking at the current situation, the alliance was willing to work with King Wudong. That was enough to show that the alliance had no choice in certain areas and needed to push King Wudong up. So, even if it was the alliance's goal, as long as King Wudong became the emperor, Lu Xian would be able to rise up and charge into the sky. King Wudong looked at Lu Xian and really wanted to slice him into pieces. But now wasn't the time. The alliance envoy would definitely return, and that was something that he didn't need to think about. Everyone present had a rebellious heart. They all had the heart to rebel. If they knew that King Wudong rebelled to bring all of them to die, they would probably kill him on the spot. "Brother, save me. I just want to have a leisurely life." King Wudong was slowly filled with despair, and there was no turning back. What was done. Even if he didn't want to rebel, the bunch of people behind him were adding fuel to the fire, so he could only walk forwards helplessly. During this period of time, many top sects knew about the failure of the 8 defense lines. They felt that their chance was here, so naturally, they wouldn't worry about the Imperial Dynasty anymore. The Imperial Dynasty didn't have the energy to care about all of this. The Alliance headquarters alone was enough to give them a headache. Marshall Path Mountain. Why do we have to leave? Yuan Tianshu looked at Lin Fan and felt that things were a little complicated. Lin Fan's acting was quite convincing. Was he trying to chase them away? He felt that it was possible. The Alliance broke through the defense line, and it is too dangerous here. We can only leave. Lin Fan said. Yuan Tianshu looked at Lin Fan and didn't believe his words. He had never heard of the Alliance and didn't know how to find a reason. Okay, then I will return to Yu City. Staying here is just a waste of time. Yuan Tianchu said, and then looked at Liang Yongqi. Are you going back? Liang Yongqi thought about it. I won't go back. I am not welcomed at home. Yu City is gone, so there is no need to go back. Lin Fan said. At that moment, Liang Yongqi and Yuan Tianchu were stunned. Liang Yongqi looked at Zhang Tianshan. When he saw him nod his head to express that it was true, Liang Yongqi's body shook like he didn't expect that. Lin Fan said, in the past, I thought that your father was annoyed with you and wanted to chase you out. Now it seems like he loves you the most, which is why he chased you away. Liang Yongqi's body shook and he retreated. His tone was a little shaky. That is impossible. How can my father love me the most? He loves my big brother the most. So how can it be me? As he said that, Liang Yongqi looked at Lin Fan and his head trembled. Yuan Tianchu didn't believe it either. Was there a need to say such a reason to chase them away? He was clear about what kind of person his father was. He wouldn't be so foolish to selflessly defend against the so-called alliance. Zhang Tianshan said, Yongqi, what he said is true. Apart from the few of us and a few others, everyone else in Yu City is dead. Liang Yongqi respected Zhang Tianshan a lot, but he still hollered. Impossible, I don't believe it. That old fellow chased me out because he didn't want to see me. Don't try to lie to me. How can I not know what kind of person my father is? He isn't so dumb. My big brother wants to become the family head, and my third sister is annoyed with me. Now that he said that he chased me out to let me live, I won't believe such a reason. The moment he said this, Liang Yongqi walked down the mountain. Zhang Tianshan shouted, Where are you going? I'm going back to Yu City. Liang Yongqi replied. Zhang Tianshan walked forwards and grabbed Liang Yongqi's collar. Kid, are you sick in the head? You won't believe anything I say. Yu City is gone, so you're just asking to die if you go back. Liang Yongqi grabbed Zhang Tianshan's hand. If it is true, then I will collect my father, big brother, and sister's corpses. If it is fake, then I will stay in Yu City and continue to fight with my big brother. Don't worry about me. I will take responsibility for what I have decided. I won't believe that my father wants me to live. Yuan Tianchu looked at the scenes in front of him and slowly believed what he said. Did my father say anything? Yuan Tianchu was the second son in the family, and his big brother had returned from the sect. He also felt that his father had given up on him, but now he chose to believe. I don't know, but it is similar. He probably wants you to live. Lin Fan said. Yuan Tianchu kept silent. Zhang Tianshan said, We are just letting that kid leave. Lin Fan looked at Liang Yongqi leave. Everyone has their own decision. This is what he decided, so we have no reason to change it. Let him go back. Chapter 367. Liang Yongqi left. Lin Fan didn't stop him. He hated it when people stopped him, so he changed his mindset. Liang Yongqi definitely didn't want others to stop him. Yuan Tianchu couldn't accept this matter. He felt that it was a huge blow. His body couldn't take it, and so was his heart. He was smart, and if there were any schemes, he would definitely be able to see through them. But now, he couldn't see any problems at all. Lin Fan's expression and the others' expressions were too real. They weren't faked at all. He kept silent and didn't say a word. He just wanted to be alone. When Go Zi saw young master return, he cried and laughed like he had lost his mind. Then, he returned to normal. He was just unhappy with Nine Demon. That damn Nine Demon actually tossed him down. To think that every time he cooked in the past, he would let Nine Demon eat its fill, and it actually treated him like that. Of course, Nine Demon didn't care about Go Zi's grievances at all. I'm already by Master's side, and in the future, I won't eat those pig fodder anymore. I will eat the bug-controlling technique, Tao Essence. My standard of living has increased, and I won't eat those things anymore. This was reality. After Feng Poliu learned about the border situation, he sighed. Chaos. It was going to be a total mess. The little brat that he taught sensed that Master's mood was a little heavy. She didn't ask and just stood quietly by his side. Jiang City. Huang Bo knew that Lin Fan was back, so he put down everything he was doing and dashed over to Marshall Path Mountain. When Go Zi returned, He informed the people in Jiang City that danger had arrived and that they should all run. But no one cared about Gozi. Everyone's thoughts were really simple. Where did this idiot come from? Actually, this was a normal situation. Gozi was an amazing person. He didn't have strength or status. The people of Jiang City didn't even know who Gozi was. He was living a good life here, and it was impossible for him to leave Jiang City just because of one sentence from him. Huang Boren stood at the foot of Marshall Path Mountain and stepped on the steps. He panicked. He felt like his investment was going to go to waste. Oh my God, he had invested no less than 10,000 silver on Marshall Path Mountain. Normal people wouldn't be able to earn that much in their entire lives. Moreover, Huang Boren had high hopes for Marshall Path Mountain and hoped for huge returns. But looking at the situation, it seemed like it was finished. On the mountain, when Lin Fan saw that Huang Boren had arrived, he felt a little helpless. He knew that Huang Boren would definitely come. If he didn't, then he would really have seen a ghost. Young Master Huang, didn't Gozi explain the situation to you? Jiang City isn't safe anymore. I have to go, Lin Fan said. Although his current strength was quite shocking, bullying Huang Boren was like bullying a child to him. However, he was a person who won people over with virtue. How could he use force to conquer others? That would be immoral. Sect Leader Lin, what are you doing now? No matter what, at least give me an explanation. Huang Boren said. His belief was that it didn't matter if he earned or not, but at least he should see some action, right? If the operation still failed, then he would admit defeat. But now, how could there be any action at all? He was just idling away his days. Lin Fan calmed Huang Boren's restless heart. Young Master Huang, this is a long story. During this period of time, I've been defending against the Alliance in U City. Now that the Alliance has broken through U City, there are many casualties. I came back to inform you to clear up your assets and flee north. Huang Boren was stunned. He didn't understand what Sect Leader Lin was talking about, but he felt like the Alliance wasn't a good thing. My home is U City, and everyone close to me is dead. My father is a target that the Alliance has to kill. I'm also a target that they have to kill. It isn't safe for me to stay here. All of you aren't safe either. Lin Fan said. Huang Boren's face was filled with sympathy, and he consoled. Sect Leader Lin, I am sorry for your loss. The dead can't be revived. Haze. Lin Fan was slightly sad. To the people of U City, even if they die fighting against the Alliance, they won't regret it at all. This is the path they chose. Haze, that's true. Huang Boren nodded his head and then asked, then Marshall Path Mountain is gone just like that. Huang Boren was still a little unwilling. He had high hopes for this investment, and now that it was gone just like that, it was a huge blow. Lin Fan didn't expect that at such a time, Huang Boren would still think about Marshall Path Mountain. He really only cared about money. It isn't gone, but we need to delay it for a period of time. He had no choice but to calm him down. Huang Boren looked at Lin Fan and hoped that he could see a hint of deception in his eyes. But no matter how he looked, he felt that it was true and there was nothing wrong with it. Lin Fan said, Young Master Huang, we have known each other for a period of time, and you are a good person. Let me tell you the truth. The Alliance is from another world, and their goal is to occupy this place. Now that the border has been destroyed, their army is about to enter. Jiang City is not far from U City, and they are on the same path. It is a place that the Alliance will definitely pass. If we don't leave, the outcome will be catastrophic. Huang Boren didn't say anything. He looked at Lin Fan and was in deep thought. He wasn't a fool and naturally knew what Sect Leader Lin was talking about. Are you sure? Huang Boren asked. Yes, I am 100% sure. At the same time, I have something that I need your help with. Marshall Path Mountain's foundations in Jiang City are too shallow, and the people definitely won't believe what Marshall Path Mountain says. So I need you to lead the way. If not, when the Alliance passes by, the entire city will be slaughtered. Lin Fan said. He wasn't joking. If it was a city far away from U City, he would believe that the Alliance wouldn't treat the people too badly. But this place was so close to U City. The Alliance would definitely set up a strategic camp. So for the sake of trouble, it was possible that they would slaughter everyone in the city. Thinking about it, he realized that sometimes he was really smart. Huang Boren was terrified by Lin Fan's words. Sect leader Lin, this isn't a joke. If something goes wrong, I will be beaten to death. It is up to you whether you want to believe it or not. Tomorrow, Marshall Path Mountain will move. Lin Fan said. He didn't say too much. If he said too much, it would make the truth seem fake. He had said what he needed to say, so it was up to him whether or not he believed it. Huang Boren hesitated, and it was obvious that he wouldn't believe him so easily. Lin Fan grabbed Huang Boren's shoulder and said, Young Master Huang, I hope that you can believe me. If you don't, then there is nothing I can do. But I can tell you that the Huang family's hard work will be wiped out. Those words were a little terrifying. I understand. Let me go back and think about it, Huang Boren said and walked down the mountain. When he was prepared to leave, he asked, Sect Leader Lin, give me an answer. If Marshall Path Mountain develops in the future, will I have a part in it? Damn. Lin Fan didn't know what to say. We're all merchants like that. They were talking about a serious matter. So, couldn't they be more serious? Yes, definitely, Lin Fan said firmly. Huang Boren heaved a sigh of relief. That's good. Investment needs time. I believe that Sect Leader Lin will make Marshall Path Mountain shine. Lin Fan sighed. What else could he say? He could only say that young Master Huang was really amazing. All right, don't go to the Imperial Dynasty. Very quickly, Huang Boren left. Sect Leader Lin, where are we going next? Zhang Tianshan asked. Lin Fan squinted. Now you know how to call me Sect Leader. Sect Leader, haven't I always called you that? Zhang Tianshan said. His expression was one of confusion. Lin Fan was too lazy to say anything. Let's leave this place and find a place with few people, Lin Fan said. Zhang Tianshan continued to develop Marshall Path Mountain. I feel like one person's strength is too small. To deal with the alliance, one can't do it alone. There will definitely be people with the same goal. When they work together, we will definitely be able to deal a heavy blow to the alliance. Lin Fan wanted to tell Zhang Tianshan that one person was strong. If he felt like one wasn't strong enough, then there was only one reason, which was that one was too weak. When Huang Boren returned to the manor, he locked himself up and didn't allow anyone to disturb him. He was thinking about what Sect Leader Lin said to him. In the end, he decided to move away from this place. Sect Leader Lin didn't need to lie to him. Moreover, he didn't want to gamble. After all, even if he won, he wouldn't get anything. But if he lost, then like what Sect Leader Lin said, he would lose everything. That day, Huang Boren gave the orders to pack up his things and prepare to head out. The servants didn't understand, but when Huang Boren told them about it, they were all shocked. Very quickly, this matter spread out in Jiang City. The commoners all knew that the Huang family was moving out of Jiang City to flee. They said that Jiang City was about to face a calamity. At the start, the commoners didn't believe it. When they came to the Huang family and saw that they were moving, they totally believed it. When Qin Xingyao learned about this, he was shocked. He didn't know what the Huang family was doing. But very quickly, he ordered the servants to pack up and leave Jiang City. It wasn't that he knew what was going on, but since the Huang family started to move, it was enough to show that something was going on. Most of the commoners were influenced by the Huang and Chun family and totally believed it. But there were many who didn't. Some merchants felt that it was just scaremongering or that it was a plot by the Huang family. They scoffed and didn't believe it at all. Why would they move? Only a fool would move. The Imperial Dynasty was still fine. Did they really think that someone was so amazing? They were even thinking that it was good for the Huang and Chun family to move. Then, the entire Jiang City would belong to them. Once they found out that it was fake news, even if they returned to Jiang City, they would realize that their territory was gone. Just thinking about it made them excited. They felt like their chance had arrived. Chapter 368. U City East Forest. Kacha. A bunch of ants. An alliance expert crushed the body of an Een demon. They were annoyed by the Een demons, and at the same time, the Een demons blocked them for a period of time. It wasn't that the Een demons were strong, but that they couldn't be killed. This wasted a lot of time. To experts who could fly, they could just fly over. But to the Alliance, they wouldn't leave any problems. This was why there were always experts fighting the demons. In the end, they noticed their weakness. This made things much simpler for the Alliance experts. Your race is interesting. Submit to the Alliance, and we won't kill you. The Alliance experts were interested in the demons. Although they weren't strong, they were indeed special. The Demon King was locked on by the Alliance experts and could be killed with just a thought. But at this moment, she said in disdain, the demon race won't break contracts like humans. Facing the Alliance experts, the demon race didn't fear anything. So what if they were strong? Would they be so shameless? A bunch of ignorant things. The Alliance experts shook their heads and were disappointed in the demons. They were just trash with no knowledge at all. At that moment, a white light covered the land. The demons were covered and cried out. They slowly dissipated. The East Forest calmed down, and everything changed. Sunlight shone in and caused the forest to brighten up. The demons didn't exist anymore. There was only a stone throne sitting there quietly. Is it solved? Someone walked over and asked. It is solved. What an amazing species. It is just that they aren't smart enough. It is time for the army to advance. Rich land has many resources, and it is enough for the Alliance to use for a few thousand years. The destruction of a defense line allowed the Alliance to do whatever they wanted. Of course, the Alliance didn't attack aggressively. They took it slow, and there was no need to rush. The Alliance was wary of the top sections. White Lotus Saint Purity Mountain that was sealed up appeared once more. Guyuan was a monk from White Lotus Saint Purity Mountain. He followed Gaxian Alin sect leader Su Yuanming to Yu City to see whether or not Lin Wani was dead or whether or not he was fighting with the Alliance. It was obvious that the outcome was satisfactory. Now that the 8 defense lines have been destroyed and the Alliance has entered, the Imperial Dynasty doesn't have the energy to restrict us. Our chance has arrived. Guyuan said these words to everyone in White Lotus Saint Purity Mountain to tell them that it was time to move. To put it nicely, it was spreading love. To put it bluntly, he was asking them to work hard to occupy territory and open up a prosperous era for the White Lotus Sacred Purity Mountain. The White Lotus Sacred Purity Mountain wasn't the only one in such a situation. All of the top sects had already taken action. The time had come. Of course, there were some top sects who were waiting for the final moment. They knew about King Wudong's rebellion. Sometimes it seemed real, but it was fake. Sometimes it seemed real, but sometimes it was real. Was King Wudong's rebellion real or fake? It all depended on whether or not King Wudong would become the emperor. With the support of the Alliance, if they still failed, then they had to be careful. It was hard to say whether or not there was something wrong with them. Marshall Path Mountain. Time to go, Lin Fan said. Zhang Tianshan looked at Marshall Path Mountain reluctantly. This was where he was going to retire, but he didn't expect to leave just like that. He felt really bad. Stop looking. Just treat this place as a memory. Once the Alliance is forced back, we can come back. Zhu Shun consoled Zhang Tianshan. Looking at his eyes and how reluctant he was, it really made one feel helpless. How long? Instantly, the entire Marshall Path Mountain was uprooted and floated in the air. Zhang Tianshan's mouth was agape. Sect leader, there is no need to do that, right? Lin Fan said. Why is there no need? I spent so much money to build this place. I haven't even enjoyed it. So how can I let them enjoy it? Dream on. Overbearing. Society. Zhang Tianshan had nothing to say and actually didn't know what to say. If he had to say a few words, he could only say that he did well. With strength, he could do whatever he wanted. He thought that Lin Fan would destroy Marshall Path Mountain, but now it seemed like he was too immature. Everything that needed to be kept was kept into the dimension. Let's go. Lin Fan waved his hands and brought Zhang Tianshan and the others to fly. As for Zhu Shun, he still had his cultivation. He might have looked like a normal pig, but when he was really fierce, he was really strong. Lin Fan remembered the Alliance headquarters in his heart. What a beast. They came early. If they had balls, come a few months or half a year later. Let's see who invades who. Huang Boren brought all his belongings and headed out. He looked at the expectant gazes around. Those were all the rich merchants in the city who wanted him to leave. For some reason, he actually hesitated a little. But when the explosion spread out from Marshall Path Mountain, he was shocked. He didn't hesitate at all and quickened his footsteps. He passed by Marshall Path Mountain and saw that it was extremely empty. When the original Marshall Path Mountain disappeared, he was stunned. This mountain belonged to his family, so why did they move it away? That was a little too much. Huang Boren confirmed the truth of the matter. This wasn't a joke, and it was for real. Didn't he see that they even moved the mountain away? Lin Fan flew towards the north. At the same time, he was thinking about where he should go. He had to avoid the places where the 8 defense cities passed by. It wasn't time to fight the Alliance yet. Although it was a little embarrassing, it was because he was still a little weak. If he was strong enough, he would place the sect next to the Alliance headquarters or in the sky above. He would beat up anyone who was unhappy. That was how overbearing he was. As for now, forget it. It was better to be a coward. Wandering Dragon Sect. As the sect leader, Wang Yushu felt much less pressure. All of this was because Marshall Path Mountain sect leader Lin gave them silver to support them. He didn't need to worry about silver. The kids ate and wore what they needed to wear. But they still couldn't bear to spend money on themselves, so they were still the same. Sect leader Wang. Lin Fan landed at the entrance of Wandering Dragon Sect and shouted towards it. "Who is it?" A voice spread out from within. Wang Yushu held a kitchen knife and walked out with an apron around his waist. When he saw Lin Fan, he was delighted. Sect leader Lin, honored guest. Second brother, third brother, come out and see who it is. Wang Linfeng and Wang Xiaosa ran out. One of them was washing clothes, while the other was doing carpentry with a knife. Sect leader Lin. Sect leader Lin. To Lin Fan, Wandering Dragon Sect was the sect that didn't look like a sect, but it was also the sect that looked like a sect the most. When he passed by Wandering Dragon Sect, Lin Fan thought about them and felt like he had to inform them. After greeting them, Lin Fan said, "Sect leader Wang, I have something to tell you this time. It's best for you to live in seclusion in the forest. This location is too obvious, and you'll become an easy target." Wang Yushu was curious. Sect leader Lin, did something happen? Lin Fan said, "The border was broken by the Alliance. Maybe in just a short while, the Alliance army will pass by this place. For safety reasons, I came to inform you." Wang Yushu believed Lin Fan's words and didn't suspect anything. That was because sect leader Lin had helped them a lot, and they weren't easy to cheat. If there was something, it would be these kids. "Thank you, sect leader Lin, for telling me. I will pack up and bring the kids away to hide in the mountains," Wang Yushu said. Wang Linfeng and Wang Xiaosa immediately went back and took care of the group of children who were like chicks. Lin Fan found out from Wang Linfeng that there was a forest not far away. There were very few people there, and it was really huge. There was also a paradise there. He helped them to the end, so he helped Wandering Dragon Sect move. Hong, Hong, Hong. When he settled the small house in Wandering Dragon Sect, he realized that it was a good place. The key was that it was hard for people to notice it. Sect leader Lin, since it is so dangerous, then why don't you stay here too? Wang Yushu tried to persuade him. Lin Fan waved his hands. "Thank you, sect leader Wang, for your good intentions, but I have something important to do." Wang Yushu didn't say much and expressed that he understood. "Goodbye." Lin Fan didn't stay and left right away. Zhu Shan said, "Young Master Lin, this Wandering Dragon sect is so weak. Also, this sect leader, deputy sect leader, and elder really can't be judged by their looks. If I didn't see them personally, I would have thought that they were bandits. That is indeed the case. When I first met them, I thought the same." Lin Fan smiled. This was all he could do. As for the others, he didn't do those thankless things. Even if he went to some cities to tell them that there was danger and they ran, people might think that they were crazy. There were still people in Jiang City who didn't believe him, much less others. Old Priest 3 crazy, this is goodbye. I have to return to Sword Palace. Swordhead was fighting the Alliance experts in Fengyue City. He had totally released the massacring sword path, and his cultivation had improved. The existence of the Alliance and the top sects would cause chaos in the world, so he had to make preparations. Old Priest 3 crazy said, "Swordhead, We can only hide and wait for Lin Wani to return. The alliance is strong, and the top sects are tempted. We are too weak now, and we can only choose to hide. Are you sure that Lin Wani is still alive? Swordhead asked. Old Priest 3 Crazy smiled and didn't say anything. Swordhead didn't ask much, and it was like he understood something. Right? I heard that you were fated to see a corner of the future. Maybe you know something. Not really. The future is really indiscernible and changes quickly. Often, one action can change the future. Old Priest 3 Crazy smiled and didn't want to say much more. Okay, then I'll take my leave. Thank you for helping me comprehend the massacring sword path. Swordhead cupped his fists in gratitude and rose up into the air. He turned into a streak of light and shot through the sky, disappearing without a trace. Half a month later, Lin Fan floated in the air. What do you think about this place? We have avoided the 8 defense lines, and there are so many mountains around. Even if the Alliance passes, they won't be able to notice us. Good place. This place is filled with heroes. The mountains are like a giant dragon resting here. This is the place. Zhang Tianshan used his godly aura and concluded that this was a good place. Chapter 369. Zhang Tianshan, in my opinion, you aren't suitable to fight against the Alliance. I suggest you become a fortune teller. Maybe if you're lucky, you might even become a master. Lin Fan said. He was quite impressed by Zhang Tianshan. Moreover, this person was really cunning. When he was in Yu City, he directly called him nephew because he felt like he had someone protecting him and didn't care about him, the sect leader. After Yu City was wiped out, he returned to Martial Path Mountain and changed his tone. He called him sect leader like he was really used to it. Zhang Tianshan asked, Sect leader, do I still need to become one? Actually, I really am a master, but my ambition isn't here, so not many people know about it. Just one look, and I know that this place isn't simple. It is a good place. As long as we place Martial Path Mountain here, it will definitely prosper. Lin Fan was too lazy to argue with Zhang Tianshan. This fellow was really mischievous. In half a month, he found this place. Moreover, he was really far away from Yu City. What he was most worried about wasn't his father, but where his cousin had gone. With cousin's cultivation, he was actually quite decent. But if he faced the Alliance, he really wasn't enough. He should be fine. Cousin didn't seem like a short-lived person. He definitely had his own fortuitous encounter. When the time came, they would definitely meet. Lin Fan took out Martial Path Mountain and placed it on an empty piece of land. He connected it to the surrounding mountains, and one couldn't see any problems. Although this mountain belonged to the Huang family. But with the Huang family's ability, they definitely wouldn't be able to keep it. This was why he didn't directly take it away and just let them keep it. As long as they could meet in the future, he would definitely return it to them. We will temporarily stay here. Zhu Shun, look around in case we have entered their territory. Lin Fan said. Zhu Shun was small in size, but he wasn't weak. As a Dao Realm expert, he had no problem scanning the area. Don't worry. I will pay attention to the surrounding situation. He came to a foreign place, so naturally, he had to understand the situation around, especially in such a place where no one knew what was hidden in the mountain range. When he landed on Martial Path Mountain, everything was the same as before, and there wasn't much difference. Yuan Tianshu was silent and wasn't as lively as before. He felt that he could see through other people's schemes and liked to fill in the gaps in his brain. But now, he couldn't fill in the gaps at all. He was visibly disappointed. Feng Poliu said, Are we going to hide here and wait for the Alliance matter to end? Lin Fan shook his head. No, this is our new main camp. The Alliance is bullying us, so I can't let them have a good time. I have to have a good chat with them. Even his father was on the move. How could he fall behind? Outside Yu City. So it's all true. Liang Yongji didn't enter the city, but he could hear the rumbling from afar. Looking closely, there were large machines working in Yu City. Although he didn't know what they were doing, he could tell that Yu City had really fallen. Father, big brother, and third sister are really dead. He really wanted to see it, but for some reason, he was afraid. Liang Yongji gripped the ground, unwilling to give up. He wanted to charge in and see his father and the others, but his body couldn't help but tremble. When there was movement in the surroundings, Liang Yongji was so frightened that he shrunk his body and hid behind the slope, not daring to move at all. Cold sweat flowed down his forehead. He had overestimated himself. He thought that he wouldn't be afraid, but when he returned to U City, he understood that he would be afraid. In the distance, a bunch of Alliance members were walking in a line. It looked like they were patrolling or doing something. But to Liang Yongji, all of that wasn't important. A long while later, Liang Yongji noticed a deep hole ahead. He didn't know what it was, but when he stood in front of it and saw what was inside, he was stunned. With a thud, he sat on the ground. The deep hole was filled with corpses. There were so many that he couldn't count them all. Some of the corpses weren't complete. He even saw familiar people and was sure that they were people who live in U City. The first thing the Alliance headquarters did after entering U City was to find the corpses of the Alliance experts. They were all heroes of the Alliance. The Alliance civilians were all waiting for the corpses to return, so they definitely couldn't be buried elsewhere. As for the corpses of the natives, naturally, they wouldn't receive the treatment they deserved. The Alliance members simply piled them up in the hole and were prepared to bury them or burn them. Liang Yongji was stunned and didn't come back to his senses. He didn't know whether or not his father and the others were inside. He wanted to search, but he didn't know how. I am afraid. Liang Yongji's tears flowed. He believed Lin Fan's words. Father really wanted him to live and didn't chase him away because he hated him. Imperial Dynasty. The commoners inside and outside the Imperial Dynasty were all gone. This was the Imperial Dynasty, and all the news would cause a storm here. Moreover, there were many sect disciples living in the Imperial Dynasty, and they had spread the news out. The Alliance and the top sects were about to overthrow the Imperial Dynasty. If they continued to stay here, they would just die. Pack your things and run. So, the commoners all ran. Some strong families didn't dare to stay in the Imperial Dynasty to protect their family power. They sent everything out and left the Imperial Dynasty. After all, to some strong families, everyone had their own secrets. Outside the Imperial Dynasty, King Wudong's army was already at the city gates. He wanted to slow down, but he couldn't. The Alliance envoy had arrived long ago, and there were a few mysterious experts. Old Wei, who was beside King Wudong, loved to brag, but facing these 5 mysterious people, he felt small. He shivered and didn't dare to say anything. He was really honest. Your Majesty, the Imperial Dynasty is right in front of us. Lucian was really excited. He had waited for this day, and victory was right in front of him. Zhu Xiang led the army and raised his head to look at the Imperial Dynasty. His expression changed. He was finally back. He said that he would definitely return to the Imperial Dynasty and take back everything that he had lost. Now it was right in front of him. As long as King Wudong gave the order, he would charge and lead the army to break the Imperial Dynasty. We surrender. King Wudong, it is me. I surrender. The general guarding the gates shouted. He ordered the soldiers to open the gates to welcome King Wudong. King Wudong's expression was really calm. The moment the gates opened, he waved his hands. Kill. Don't leave a single one alive. His voice was like that of the god of death. These people who betrayed the Imperial Dynasty didn't deserve to live. Only by killing them could he appease the rage in his heart. The general guarding the gates didn't expect things to turn out like this. Why did King Wudong want to kill him? He was the one who begged for mercy and welcomed him. How could this happen? Not long later, screams spread out. Your Majesty, you don't have to kill these people if they join your side. Wouldn't taking them and strengthen you? Lucian said. But the moment he said this, Lucian's body shook. King Wudong's gaze was really terrifying. Lucian knelt on the ground and kowtowed. Within the Imperial Dynasty. Teacher Zhao, why aren't you leaving? The Emperor sat on the throne. When the army surrounded the Imperial Dynasty, the Emperor had already bathed and changed. He prayed to his ancestors and then came to the main hall. He sat on the throne and waited quietly. The Zhao family old ancestor wore a rough robe, and his head was covered in white hair. Emperor, Zhao family ancestor followed the former emperor to battle and was loyal to the Imperial Dynasty. Everything that Zhao family has today is given to us by the former emperor. Even if some people in Zhao family have changed their hearts, my feelings towards the imperial dynasty will never change. Actually, there's no need. Teacher Zhao can leave this place, and I am the emperor. Today, the imperial dynasty is going to be wiped out. Anyone can leave, but I can't, the emperor said. His expression was a little dejected. The main hall was really empty, and all the officials were gone. Don't worry, the imperial dynasty won't be wiped out. The princes and princesses will rise up once more. Old ancestor, Zhao said. Very quickly, there was a commotion outside, although it was a little far. But it spread into the main hall. At that moment, an old eunuch standing beside the emperor had a sword hanging from his waist. He slowly walked to the bottom of the hall and knelt down, saying, "Your Majesty, this servant will lead the way for your Majesty. I will not let these petty people dirty your Majesty's eyes." Chao Hun. The emperor opened his mouth and looked at Chao Hun, who had served him his entire life. He nodded his head. "Go, I will be right behind you." There was a clang. Chao Hun pulled out his sword. He, who had no guts, was more courageous than anyone else. He hollered with a sharp voice, "Kids, follow me to fight them to the death." Very quickly, a bunch of eunuchs followed behind Chao. They stepped out of the main hall and headed outside. Zhao family old ancestor looked at the emperor. With the foundations of the imperial dynasty, although they might not be able to fight against the army outside, they could at least cause them huge problems. But the emperor sent all of them away. No one knew where they went. No one knew where the emperor had secretly sent the princes and princesses to. Outside, Chao Hun hollered in rage and waved his sword. Sword energy swept forwards, and the people at the front were sliced in half. "Chao Hun, surrender to me, and I will let you live," King Wutong said. The 5 mysterious people frowned. Chao Hun hollered, "That dog is rebelling. He deserves to die. Kill him." King Wutong's expression was calm, but he couldn't bear to. He knew that if his brother understood him, then there was someone else who understood him too. It was Chao Hun, the eunuch who had served his brother since he was young. What was going on? "Imperial brother, what are you trying to do?" He didn't have any plans with them and just cut off all contact with them. Even when the army was outside the imperial dynasty, he didn't contact them in secret to plan how to kill them. Instead, he sent the imperial dynasty experts away and allowed them to attack this place without any obstruction. What secret is there that you can't tell me? Chapter 370. King Wudong walked towards the main hall. The blades around him weren't able to affect him at all. The 5 mysterious people behind him were like a mountain that blocked all the dangers from all directions. Pucci, a head was tossed high into the air. It rolled down from King Wudong's feet. This was Chao Hun's head. Even in death, his eyes were filled with unwillingness. King Wudong didn't stop and continued to walk forwards. One of the mysterious people kicked the head away. "Brother, you are here." When King Wudong was about to step into the main hall, a voice spread into his ears. Shortly after, a terrifying aura spread over. The Zhao family old ancestor attacked and was prepared to kill King Wudong in one strike. However, the 5 mysterious people behind him moved. They blocked the Zhao family old ancestor's attack, and then the 6 of them left the spot. They couldn't fight openly here, and any ripples could kill many people. "Brother." King Wudong had many things he wanted to ask his brother, but the situation didn't allow him to. He really wanted to cry. This wasn't the case. Lu Xian didn't dare to say anything. He felt that King Wudong's aura was really strong. It was a little fierce and really terrifying. If King Wudong was unhappy, he might lose his life. "All of you leave." King Wudong waved his hands and wanted everyone to leave. Lu Xian was shocked. "Your Majesty, you can't. If anything happens, then leave." Lu Xian was helpless and could only listen to King Wudong. He retreated outside. "Your Majesty, we will wait outside." Very quickly, only King Wudong and the Emperor were left in the main hall. "Brother, this matter." King Wudong wanted to ask what was going on and how did things end up like this. The Emperor didn't let King Wudong continue. There was no need. He was the one who paved this path and hoped that King Wudong could continue on it. Outside, the Zhao family old ancestor fought 1 against 5 and wasn't at a disadvantage. But it was hard to say what would happen next. Are you from the Alliance, or are you from those sects? He started to suspect the identities of the 5 of them. As they clashed, he realized that they weren't weak and they weren't ordinary people. The Alliance paid a huge price to take down U City, so it was impossible for them to send 5 9-star generals over right away. This meant that these 5 people were most likely the leaders of top sections. The 5 of them had never thought of exposing their identities. Every move they made was ruthless. It was obvious that they wanted to kill the Zhao family's old ancestor. The space was extremely unstable, already completely collapsing. When Dao realm experts exchanged blows, not only would they cause problems for themselves, but even the innocent space would be destroyed. After a long time, the 5 mysterious people instantly blocked Zhao family's old ancestor's path. It's time to end this. The 5 mysterious people opened their palms, causing space to ripple and an extremely terrifying aura to spread out. The Zhao family's ancestor had a solemn expression. He had long understood why the emperor had dismissed everyone. It was likely that he had long known the result and did not want to make meaningless sacrifices. Emperor, in the end, I still underestimated you. The old ancestor of the Zhao family sighed. The situation right now was a little complicated. The possibility of killing these 5 people was extremely slim, or rather, it was basically impossible. However, the possibility of him being killed by these 5 people was very high. Suddenly, in the distance, an extreme aura spread over. The space was squeezed, and with a crack, the space shattered and the dimension appeared. A person appeared beside the Zhao family ancestor. Let's go. At that moment, the Zhao family ancestor disappeared from the spot and was nowhere to be seen. What a waste. He actually ran. Forget it. Fighting to the death isn't our style. It isn't easy to kill the Zhao family ancestor, so there's no need for anyone to die. Lu Xian and the others waited outside. They all pricked up their ears and listened to the movement within. If there was any movement, they would break the door right away. They couldn't let anything happen to King Wudong. Quang Dang. Suddenly, there was a sound from within the hall. Lu Xian broke the door right away, but when he saw the scenes within, he was stunned. King Wudong stabbed the emperor with a sword and fresh blood flowed down the sword. King Wudong's back faced the door and he wanted to let go, but the emperor grabbed onto his sword tightly. Brother, walk slowly. There is no rush. The emperor patted King Wudong's back and spat out large amounts of fresh blood. He pushed King Wudong aside and held his stomach with one hand. He raised his hand. Traitor, you can't. Poochie. The emperor spat out blood and the world spun around. He fell to the ground with a thud and was no longer breathing. King Wudong's hand that was holding the sword trembled. Tears flowed out and his eyes turned red. He wanted to scream, but it felt like his throat was being grabbed and he couldn't make a sound at all. His brother was dead and he died in his hands. The 5 mysterious people appeared at the door, and when they saw those scenes, they were stunned. They didn't expect that King Wudong would actually kill the emperor. This is your blood brother. Why was he so vicious? But thinking about the temptation of the throne, they could understand. Maybe in the past, King Wudong really wanted to rebel, but failed. But now, with the help of the Alliance, he really succeeded. At the same time, he personally killed his brother. What a tragic thing. What nonsense brotherhood. In front of temptation, it was worthless. King Wudong hollered to vent the sadness in his heart. Slowly, the shout stopped, and it turned into laughter. Ha ha! King Wudong tossed the sword in his hand and laughed out loud. Tears flowed down his face. I finally succeeded. I succeeded. When everyone saw King Wudong, they thought that he was too excited, which was why he acted so crazily. But they didn't know how sad King Wudong was. He understood. His brother didn't contact him because he predicted that such a thing would happen. Everything he did was to let everyone believe that he really wanted to rebel. He didn't want to collude with the emperor. He just wanted to be a peaceful king and not the emperor. Pa pa pa. Clapping spread out. The alliance envoy appeared and clapped, as expected from King Wudong. To achieve great things, one has to be vicious and kill those who block one's path. The emperor is dead and King Wudong is the new emperor. Shortly after, the alliance envoy cupped his fists and bowed. Greetings, emperor. Lu Xian knelt on the ground. Greetings, emperor. Walala. Everyone knelt on the ground and called King Wudong the emperor. King Wudong looked out. It was such a sad thing, but to some people, it was something worth celebrating. He knew that the alliance was treating him as a puppet emperor, and their goal was to stabilize the imperial dynasty civilians and those rich merchants. The alliance didn't invade the rich land for chaos, but for resources and control. He was a member of the royal family, so it was natural for him to inherit the throne. If the alliance took over the imperial dynasty, there would definitely be riots. All the top sects found out that King Wudong personally killed the emperor. To those top sects, their chance had finally arrived. To them, the imperial dynasty was already wiped out, and they didn't need to fear anything. Each of the top sects was very powerful. What they needed to do was to support a puppet and form a dynasty controlled by the sect. Their territory might not be big, but they would be free from the imperial dynasty's control. Each of the top sects controlled at least 5 cities. Great Wei Dynasty, Great Gon Dynasty, etc. All sorts of dynasties popped up like bamboo shoots after the rain. Their territory wasn't big, but their names were really famous. From now on, the civilians in the cities weren't from the imperial dynasty, but from the sections. When the alliance headquarters found out about this, they weren't anxious as they had expected it. At the same time, some top sects worked with them and agreed to their requests, so there was no need for them to go back on their word. First, the most important thing for the alliance was to stabilize King Wudong's throne. Martial Path Mountain. Zhu Xin returned from outside. Young Master Lin, something huge has happened. The imperial dynasty has been wiped out by King Wudong. At the same time, many top sects have occupied land and formed new dynasties to split up the land. Lin Fan stayed in Martial Path Mountain and didn't head out. It wasn't that he was afraid, but that he wanted to slow down. Since things had reached such a stage, then he would see what would happen. Looking at the situation right now, everyone seemed to be having a great time. They had decided to establish themselves as the masters. One had to admit that this era was pretty good for the top sections. I didn't expect this to happen. Feng Polio sighed. Lin Fan said, "What is there to think about? We are all enemies. Let's just go all out and fight. There's no need to think so much about other things." To Lin Fan, this was how simple his thoughts were right now. King Wudong was really vicious. He could even stab his own brother to death. How overbearing was that? Zhu Shun said, "Young Master Lin, what should we do next? Should we wait for your father to come out before we act?" Lin Fan waved his hands. "There is no need to wait. It has been so boring recently, and I have to head out to play with the Alliance and those top sections. All of you can just stay here." "No, I promise, Master Lin, so I have to look after you," Zhu Shan said. Lin Fan thought about it and felt that it was possible. Zhu Shan wasn't weak, and if he followed beside him, at least he would have someone to help him if he faced some problems. Moreover, with Zhu Shan's current appearance, it was easy for him to fool others. As long as he did it well, he might be able to bring about a different effect. Nine Demon seemed like it really wanted to go. "Your body is a little big. It is too flashy, eh?" Before he finished, he realized that Nine Demon had actually shrunk to the size of a puppy. "Not bad." Lin Fan nodded. "Since that is the case, then I will bring you along." Zhang Tianshan was worried. "Sect leader, is it too dangerous to head out now?" "Dangerous?" Lin Fan smiled. "No." Chapter 371. The period of time he spent in Martial Path Mountain was to wait for the power distribution to be clear. They could do whatever they wanted, and he would step out of Martial Path Mountain to play with them. Gozik didn't want Young Master to leave, but he knew that Young Master would definitely do some things, and he couldn't stop him. "Actually, I can go too," Zhang Tianshan muttered. "At least I can lay out some formations." Lin Fan didn't bring Zhang Tianshan mainly because he was too weak. Their strengths weren't on the same level, so it was tough for them to play together. Zhang Tianshan, just lay out the formations around Marshall Path Mountain. Don't think so much and be low profile. Lin Fan waved his hands and left right away. He didn't hesitate at all, and his body was about to rot. One man, one pig, and one bug. This special combination started to rebel against the top sex and the Alliance. Actually, it wasn't much of a rebellion. It was just that they wanted to beat people up. Young Master Lin, where should we go now? Zhu Shen asked. They had no goal now, so they had to at least have a goal. Lin Fan thought about it and said, I don't know where to go, but there is no rush. Let's fly for a while and find a place to rest. Then, we can think about the current situation. Zhu Shen was helpless. It was easy for things to go wrong if they didn't have a goal. If it was him, he definitely wouldn't find trouble with the Alliance. Instead, he would gather all the ambitious people together to find a way to solve the problem. Or they would search for the Alliance's weak points and cause some problems for them before running away. This was why they would change places after shooting. Nine Demon didn't care. He stood on Master's shoulder and didn't have anything to worry about. Apart from fighting seriously, the rest of the time was for him to relax. Night fell. Lin Fan found a place to rest. Within a broken house, the four walls had holes in them. He lit up a fire, and the flames chased away the darkness, lighting up the surroundings. He sat in front of the fire and looked at it. In the silent night, only the crackling sounds of wood burning could be heard. Young Master Lin, we have to have a goal when we come out, Zhu Shen said. He accepted the current situation. Lin Fan played with the match and smiled. What goal do we need? Don't all goals appear as things develop? When U City was there, we wanted to defend against the Alliance. Now that U City is wiped out, naturally, the goal is gone. There is no rush. We have just come out for a day. Zhu Shen felt like young Master Lin's words made sense. Actually, there are 3 targets. King Wutong, the Alliance, and the top sections. We can choose any of these 3. Moreover, with the current situation, there is a high chance that we will bump into them, so we don't need to find them. Most of the time, they will find us. Lin Fan said. Zhu Shen looked at Lin Fan and didn't know what to say. The 3 targets that young Master Lin mentioned seemed very normal, but he knew that they were things that could take his life. If he was not careful, he might even lose his life. Young Master Lin's current strength was indeed strong, but it wasn't strong enough to ignore everything. If they met a true Dao realm expert, it would be useless even if he joined them. At this moment, a sound came from outside. Zhu Shen immediately shut up and acted like a normal pig laying on the ground. He looked towards the door. Who else would come at such a time? Creak. The door was pushed open, followed by a voice. There's someone in the house. Are we still going in? The voice was cautious and alert, as if it didn't expect that there would be people in the house. Go in, why not? This is an ownerless place. Quick, I am about to die from exhaustion. The owner of the voice didn't fear anything and was also a little tired. Shortly after, he thought that there were only 2 people, but who knew that there would be 3. Among them were 2 young men, one tall and one short, one thin and one fat. When the 2 of them stepped through the door, they glanced at the situation inside. Then, the tall and thin man knocked on the head of the short and fat man beside him. Why are you still blocking the door? Hurry up and let the master go in first. Before the short and fat guy said anything, the tall and thin guy served. Master, I have taken a look inside, and it is safe. Please enter quickly. The short and fat guy touched his head and was a little angry. Senior brother, if you hit my head again, I'm going to flip out. Pa, flip out? Aren't you going to make room for Master? Stop being so dumb. The tall and thin guy said. When the old man entered, he looked at Lin Fan with a weird expression. But after just one look, he retracted his gaze. He didn't see anything wrong with Lin Fan. Zhu Shen didn't say anything. Naturally, it was unbelievable that a pig could speak. Moreover, he didn't know where Lin Fan came from, so there was no need to expose himself. The 3 of them made a fire, and the 2 of them surrounded the old man. The tall and thin guy was a little hungry. They hadn't eaten for a day, and it was really difficult to get something in such a desolate place. Suddenly, he saw the pink pig beside Lin Fan. Although it was a little small, it was not bad. If he roasted it, it would definitely taste good. He touched the silver he had on him. Luckily, he still had some left. Then, he informed the master and walked towards Lin Fan with a smile. "Little brother, let's discuss something. I'll give you 10 silver taels to buy the pig beside you. How about it?" "I have money." Lin Fan smiled. The tall and thin guy said, "It is okay." Lin Fan lowered his head and looked at Zhu Shun. "Zhu Shun, someone wants to buy you. Say a few words." The tall and thin guy felt that this little brother was a little interesting. He was actually talking to a pig. Of course, 10 silver to buy a little pig was just too overbearing. If it was someone else, they wouldn't be able to resist it. Zhu Shun was a little helpless. What was young Master Lin thinking? Why did he ask him that? If other people found out, they would definitely be suspicious. He had no choice and could only reply, "I'm not a pig." Zhu Shun opened his mouth. The moment he spoke, the guy nearly jumped up in fear. This pig can actually speak. "Come back." The old man scolded in rage and then stood up. The short and fat guy didn't know what his master was going to do and could only follow behind. The old man walked in front of Lin Fan and looked at Lin Fan and Zhu Shun. He then looked at Nine Demon and then retracted his gaze. "I am Qinji Mountain's Cha Fu. Who are you?" Lin Fan smiled. Lin Fan. Cha Fu thought about it. He was really unfamiliar, and he had never heard of such a person before. My disciple was too rash just now. Please don't take it to heart. Before Lin Fan said anything, Zhu Shun couldn't help but say, "Qinji Mountain, it is a little familiar." Cha Fu felt a little delighted. He didn't expect Qinji Mountain to be so famous that people outside would actually know about it. But what he said next shocked Cha Fu. "I remember, 20 years ago, Qinji Mountain sect leader fought with Master Lin in Yu City and unfortunately died. Who are you to him?" Zhu Shun asked. But after asking that, he felt that it wasn't a good idea. He had actually revealed his own secrets. Cha Fu's eyes opened wide, and he didn't reply for a long time. He then said, "That is my senior brother. Who are you?" "So, it is senior brother. Didn't I tell you who I am?" "I am Yu City's Zhu Shun." Zhu Shun said. Cha Fu thought about it for a long while and had never heard of Zhu Shun before. He felt a little awkward and didn't know how to reply. Zhu Shun said, "Not many people know about Zhu Shun, but there was a famous name in the past. You should have heard of the top blade of the Imperial Dynasty, right?" Uproar. Cha Fu was shocked. He didn't expect the pig in front of him to be the top blade of the Imperial Dynasty. This name was really famous in the past, and he had heard of it. It was really amazing. "Since we are familiar, then let's sit down and talk." Lin Fan said. His senior brother died fighting against the Alliance, so there was nothing to say. He was one of them. Cha Fu sat down. Although he didn't know how the top blade of the Imperial Dynasty turned into a pig, he still believed his words. At the same time, he was thinking about who the young man beside him was. To be able to be together with Zhu Shun, it was obvious that he wasn't a normal person. But looking at his age, he shouldn't be too strong. Cha Fu's 2 disciples wanted to sit down, but Cha Fu stared at them, and they stood up right away. "Aren't the 2 of you going to find something to eat?" "Master, it is so late, so where are we going to find something?" The tall and thin male was in a tough spot. But when he saw Master's gaze, he knew that even if they couldn't find anything, they had to. That was just too unreasonable. Very quickly, his 2 disciples went out. Zhu Shun was confused. "I remember that Qinji Mountain is a little far from here. So why did they come here?" When he said this, Cha Fu's face was filled with helplessness. "Hayes, it is a long story." Cha Fu started to recall and spoke of everything that had happened. He had a rough understanding of the situation. So, he had to start from the border being broken through by the Alliance. As expected, it was a mess. Qinji Mountain was taken away by the sects that claimed the land. Some people chose to submit, but Cha Fu wasn't willing to see that, so he brought his 2 disciples and left the sect. Along the way, he faced many things. Zhu Shun asked, "Your cultivation hasn't reached Dao realm?" Cha Fu said, "No, I am only a domain realm." Domain realm, that is a little weak, Lin Fan said. The moment he said this, Chafu looked at Lin Fan like he had seen a ghost. Domain realm was weak? What a joke. That realm wasn't weak at all. Friend, you are still young, and you might not understand the problem of realms. Domain realm. Chafu wanted to teach Lin Fan a lesson, but before he finished, Zhu Shun interrupted him. Young Master Lin understands. You might look young, but you're already a Dao realm. Zhu Shun said. Chafu blinked like he was saying, Brother, what are you saying? You're telling me that you're a Dao realm expert at such an age? That was impossible, right? Lin Fan sighed. The world is really complicated, and if one doesn't enter Dao realm, they are all ants. They won't be able to fight against the alliance. His bragging was really obvious. Chafu didn't expect that someone at Domain Realm would actually say that they were ants. That was a little too much. Chapter 372. Chafu felt a little awkward. For some reason, he felt like they weren't on the same page. At first, he thought that the other party was just bragging, but he didn't expect that the other party was actually the real deal. The thing that he wanted to fight for was indeed not worth mentioning in the eyes of the other party. If one didn't enter Dao realm, they were just ants. If someone else said this, Chafu would definitely slap them to make them change their words. It was okay to brag, but how could one brag like that? But the situation was different now. Lin Fan was at Dao entry realm, and it was okay for him to say such words. It was like how he could say that everyone below Domain Realm was weak. Lin Fan looked at Chafu. I feel that your foundations are really deep and you have a lot of potential. Although you are a little old, as long as you work hard, it shouldn't be hard for you to reach Dao entry realm. Kiki. Chafu smiled awkwardly, trying to hide the helplessness in his heart. He felt a bit uncomfortable sitting there. It was as if he was a little kid and the two in front of him were experts, the kind that were much stronger than him. In the past, at his age, he would act like a senior in front of any young person. But now, he felt like it was the other way around. Thank you for your words. I hope that I can enter Dao realm soon. Chafu replied. Lin Fan nodded and continued. In this world, it is hard to protect oneself without strength. You're not bad. If you can't stand it, you can just leave with your disciple. If you stay with them, disaster will come sooner or later. That's right. Chafu nodded. Based on what he thought, the situation shouldn't have been like this. By right, he should be the one giving pointers to the younger generation, and the younger generation should be grateful and shout out, "Thank you, senior, for your pointers." But now, the situation had actually changed. Very quickly, Chafu's two disciples returned. The tall and thin one was called Su Furong, and the short and fat one was called Jin Xiaobao. At night, they really found some food, a small wild boar. But looking at their dirty faces, it was obvious that they paid a high price. Jin Xiaobao squatted behind his master and would occasionally look at Lin Fan. He was really envious. This kid was so amazing. He could actually talk so much with master. Usually, if he spoke too much to his master would reprimand him. Why did he have so much to say? Hurry up and get to work. Su Furong placed the wild boar on top of the fire to roast it. This kind of technical work could only be done by him. How could he let his brainless junior brother do it? Otherwise, the boar would be roasted to a crisp. He looked at Lin Fan from time to time. Just like Jin Xiaobao, he was extremely envious. Just who was this brat? He was actually able to talk and laugh with his master, and his master even nodded frequently as if he approved of him. Oh my God! This was too domineering. Very soon, the aroma of the wild boar wafted over. Chafu asked Su Furong to bring the roasted boar over. Lin Fan smiled. Zhu Shun, why are you in such a rush to kill each other? Zhu Shun rolled his eyes. Young Master Lin, he isn't the same as me. There was no other way. He was used to his current form, but he would never admit that pigs were his kind. Su Furong wanted to sneak a bite, but Chafu stared at him such that he didn't dare to say anything. He could only squat behind like Jin Xiaobao and look on enviously. His saliva was about to flow out. These two disciples of yours aren't talented, and their cultivation is weak. They need to be developed. Lin Fan tore off the boar leg and ate it. His mouth was covered in oil, and he felt really good. Rage points plus 11. Rage points plus 11. To Su Furong and Zhen Xiaobao, Lin Fan's words were really arrogant. He actually said that they weren't talented and that their cultivation was weak. What kind of cultivation was he? As the saying goes, the big brother doesn't talk about the second brother. Junior brother, this fellow is really arrogant. Su Furong muttered softly. Zhen Xiaobao's eyes were small, and when he squinted, he nearly couldn't see anything. Yeah, we were the ones who caught the wild boar. We spent so much effort to catch it, but we didn't get a share. That is just too much. Cha Fu turned around and looked at his two useless disciples. When they realized that Master was looking at them, they were so frightened that they lowered their heads and didn't dare to say a word. Their talents aren't good, but they are obedient and have a good personality. In the future, there will be people to take care of me when I die. I am satisfied. Zhen Xiaobao was so touched that he wanted to cry. He didn't expect that Master didn't think that he was stupid at all. Master, don't worry. I will take care of you when you die. Pata. Cha Fu smacked Zhen Xiaobao's head in rage. The two of you don't cultivate, so I will be the one taking care of the two of you. Master, calm down. In the future, I will teach Junior Brother to cultivate. Junior Brother is just a little stupid, but with my guidance, he will improve. Su Rongfu said. As the senior brother, he was filled with despair towards this junior brother. He didn't eat much, but he was so fat. Moreover, he was a little stupid. What a headache. Cha Fu shook his head. He didn't want to say another word to his two disciples. It was as if he would be angered to death. Haze, young Master Lin saw a joke. If they had 10% of young Master Lin's ability, I would be happy. Cha Fu sighed. Not to mention 10%. Even 1% was enough. Lin Fan could understand Cha Fu's feelings. After all, his father had high hopes for him. Calm down. Some things can't be forced. There are too few people like me in the world. How would it be so easy to meet one? When Cha Fu was consoled by Lin Fan, he didn't think much about it. However, what he said next was a little off. His old face was filled with expressions. Even if he wanted to praise him, he couldn't be so direct, right? Lin Fan didn't like to act cool. He didn't even know what acting cool was. He just liked to speak the truth. Rage points plus 33. Rage points plus 33. Such a weak value was as small as an ant's. It seemed that only these two people could provide such a small value. Anyways, to Lin Fan, he hadn't seen so few rage points in a long time. Su Furong and Zhen Xiaobao only had one thought, which was that this fellow was just a bragging king. Lin Fan saw that Cha Fu and the others didn't say anything. He thought that there was something wrong with what he said. But thinking about it, there didn't seem to be anything wrong. If there was, then he was too direct and caused unnecessary misunderstandings. It seemed like it was better to explain, otherwise it would give them an unfriendly feeling. I didn't mean anything else. I was just speaking the truth. I wasn't praising myself. Lin Fan explained. Zhu Shun looked at young Master Lin and wanted to beg him to stop acting. Although what he said was the truth. Sometimes, one had to consider other people's feelings. Cha Fu felt a little awkward and acted like he didn't care. Actually, he did care. He didn't expect that such a thing would happen. It really made him feel helpless. Not long later, there was only a pig head left. Give it to your two disciples. They seem really hungry. Lin Fan was already full. Seeing that there was only a pig head left, naturally, he had to give it to the two fellows who caught it to taste. Su Furong looked at Lin Fan helplessly like he had given up. It was already cold, and he actually thought about them. Zhen Xiaobao eagerly took the pig head over. He was really hungry and was drooling just looking at it. Zhu Shan said, Cha Fu, why do I feel like you are really tired? Did you face trouble? Cha Fu shook his head. It isn't a problem. It is just that many top sects are out in the world, and there are some conflicts. But it isn't a big deal. With my current strength, I can deal with them easily, as long as I don't meet any Dao Realm experts. Actually, it wasn't so easy to meet Dao Realm experts. They weren't cabbages. Where are you going next? Lin Fan asked. Cha Fu said, I'm not sure. I don't know where to go. I suddenly feel like the world is huge, and there's actually nowhere to go. If I really can't, I am prepared to bring my 2 disciples to live in seclusion in the forest and not care about the world. No matter what happens outside, it has nothing to do with me. Lin Fan had a thought. What is the point of living in seclusion? Why don't you do something big with me? Yeah. Cha Fu raised his head and looked at Lin Fan like he didn't expect Lin Fan to recruit him. Su Furong said softly, Master, you have to be careful. I feel like he is really dangerous. Lin Fan got up and said with his arms behind his back, now that the imperial dynasty has been wiped out and the alliance has entered, chaos has broken out. Although you're only a domain realm, it is a waste to hide. Why don't you join us and play with the alliance? What do you think? He was just asking. If Cha Fu wasn't interested, then it didn't matter. The chance is right in front of you, and if you miss it, then so be it. Zhu Shun, Nine Demon, I, and numerous other experts have to fight against the alliance. Although you are old, you are too weak, and living in seclusion is basically useless. As for your 2 disciples, they will return in 100 years and turn into dust and disappear from the world. Why don't you play with me and give it a try? Who knows? Maybe there will be another chance. Lin Fan would definitely fight the alliance to the death. There are also those top sections. During the U City battle, the 2 old fellows from those sects came to watch the show, and their words made him really annoyed. If they didn't die, then who else could? Zhu Shun was a little helpless. Young Master Lin's words sounded a little unreliable. Dealing with the alliance wasn't just a game. He really had to be careful. To Lin Fan, he needed rage points and also Dao realm cultivation techniques. The world was already like that. He had to take the initiative to attack. If some sects were arrogant, then he would suppress them and then wipe out their insides. Of course, there was no need to think so far ahead. He was still waiting for Cha Fu's decision. Actually, he had a small goal. Whether or not Cha Fu helped didn't matter. Facing a strong enemy, he alone was enough. The others were just there to do nothing. The main reason was Martial Path Mountain. He wanted to pull in some people from Martial Path Mountain and slowly strengthen it. He couldn't just have the same few people, right? Chapter 373. The next day, Lin Fan's team grew. Cha Fu was roped in by Lin Fan, and from now on, he would follow Lin Fan. Although the age combination wasn't suitable, it was okay. It was actually a good thing that he had an old man by his side. If others met him, they would definitely treat Cha Fu as the main force and toss him to the back of their heads. There were still many benefits to having a character that attracted firepower. Master, I feel like we have fallen into some sort of swamp. Is it just my imagination? Su Furong muttered. He didn't dare to let Lin Fan hear him. They were of similar ages and Lin Fan was even younger than him, but he actually had to call him senior. Just thinking about it made him feel helpless. Cha Fu gently rubbed Su Furong's head. Su Furong felt a little embarrassed to be touched by his master like that. How old was he? He wasn't a kid anymore. But shortly after, he felt his head hurt. His master had angrily hit him. Stop talking nonsense. Su Furong felt very wronged. When he saw his junior brother Zhun Xiaobao laughing at his misfortune, he was so angry that he went up to bully him. I made you laugh. I made you laugh. Young Master Lin, we are already in the territory of Ocean Tide Temple. They are just a mid-tier sect, but due to the terrain, they aren't divided up by the top sections. This is why they decided to occupy 3 cities. Cha Fu said. The last time he passed by this place, he had a conflict with people from Ocean Tide Temple. They were just a mid-tier sect, so naturally, it wasn't a big deal. After dealing with a few waves of people who knew that experts from Ocean Tide Temple would come, naturally, both sides started to fight. But Cha Fu wasn't a pushover. Naturally, the Ocean Tide Temple expert told him to stop and leave. That would be the end of the matter. Lin Fan smiled. I didn't expect a small mid-tier sect to be independent. They really have balls. As expected, it was a mess. They grabbed the chance to occupy the ownerless cities. Imperial Dynasty wasn't here anymore, and they could be so arrogant. Ocean Tide Temple could tell everyone that they were right, and they could be so arrogant. These damn things. Zhu Shan was furious. They fought to the death with the Alliance, and many people died. These people just wanted to reap the benefits, and the Alliance wouldn't give them a chance. They could just wait and see. Once the Alliance was set up, they would take a breather and see how they would deal with them. Calm down. Don't be so agitated. Lin Fan calmed Zhu Shan down. Thinking about it, it made sense. Looking at Zhu Shan, he turned into a pig because he fought the Alliance. Not only did these people not do anything, but they were also thinking of ways to take advantage of him. Was that something a human would do? If this happened to him, he wouldn't be able to bear it either. Haze! Zhu Shan sighed. He felt really helpless, like he expected better from Lin Fan. Very soon, a city appeared in the distance. Ming City. He had never heard of such a city. But the imperial dynasty ruled over a huge area, and there were numerous cities. Even if the imperial dynasty was wiped out and numerous top sects took over, there were still many cities that were occupied by mid-tier sections. But as long as they were discovered, these mid-level sects were basically done for. Without strength, how would they be able to occupy them? If both sides were top sects, they might have feared one another and fought with one another for a long time. But when a top sect faced a mid-tier sect, it was basically a one-sided battle. There was nothing much to talk about. There were no guards at the city gate, but there were Ocean Tide Temple disciples. When the commoners saw them, they were a little afraid. But they acted like nothing happened. Only when they passed the city gate would they run really quickly. Lin Fan and the others entered the city and weren't stopped. It doesn't feel like much has changed. As long as it is stable, the commoners can take it. Lin Fan said. Zhu Shan said softly, I don't know how the commoners in the cities occupied by the Alliance are like, but I don't think they are any better. Chafu was really careful. After all, he had clashed with Ocean Tide Temple before. Although it wasn't a huge conflict, at least he had fought them before. If he was recognized, it would be problematic. Suddenly, loud noises spread out from the distance. You can't do that. That is too much. There is no justice in this world. Lin Fan was really curious and walked towards the sound. There are many people around, and he could hear the commoners whispering to each other. I heard that the imperial dynasty has been wiped out. In the future, Ocean Tide Temple will be in charge of us. The imperial dynasty officials in charge of our city have been killed by Ocean Tide Temple. The world is going to be in chaos. Haze, our lives are gone just like that. Who knows when we will be able to settle down? What is the difference between them and bandits? They're just robbing rich people. Shush, softer. If you hear that, you will suffer. Lin Fan acted as a passerby to watch the situation. Dozens of Ocean Tide Temple disciples snatched the riches from the rich families and took them away. They were furious but didn't dare to say anything. If they dared to resist, they would kill them right away. I thought that I was vicious, but who knew that someone was even more vicious than me? Lin Fan exclaimed when he saw those scenes. He only dared to use the bug controlling technique to steal and had never thought about snatching. That was just too overbearing. It was just too terrifying. Zhu Shan, these scenes reminded me of something. Lin Fan said. Zhu Shan's furious expression was a little weird, and he didn't understand what young Master Lin was saying. Young Master Lin, what did you think about? Lin Fan said calmly, let's go. Let's head to Ocean Tide Temple. He needed rage points now. As for riches, it didn't matter. They weren't that rare. Of course, he was also interested in techniques. If he could get some related to Dao Realm, that would be a good idea. Zhan Xiaobao pulled his master's sleeves and said softly, Master, these people are actually doing such a thing in broad daylight. That is just too much. This is the way of the world, Chafu said. Shortly after, he noticed that Lin Fan was walking forwards. He chased right away. Young Master Lin, what are your plans? Only Zhen Xiaobao was in deep thought. The way of the world? What was the way of the world? Lin Fan said, I'm a little hungry. Let's have a good meal and then get to work. What work? Chafu asked. After we eat, we will head to Ocean Tide Temple to do something. Lin Fan smiled. As for Chafu, he felt that something wasn't right about the situation. Do something? It was really mysterious and magical. It even made Chafu panic like something was about to happen. Ming City's restaurant was not bad. In the restaurant, Many diners were talking about the changes that had taken place during this period of time. The news of the imperial dynasty being wiped out wasn't a secret anymore. The appearance of the alliance was the same. But to normal people, this was just a casual conversation after meals. It was tough to imagine whether or not this would affect them. Lin Fan ate and thought about where his father would go. Anyway, the place he would go to would definitely be different. There was no need to think so much. Father's strength was at the top and nothing would happen to him. Lin Fan had a rough idea. He would use this chaotic period to raise his strength at the fastest speed. When his strength reached a certain level, everything would be easy to solve. There was no need for any schemes. He would beat up whoever he was unhappy with and then tell him scram. If they didn't, then he would kill them. He was looking forward to seeing whether his fist or their heads were harder. Did a few of you come from outside? Just as Lin Fan was thinking about all this, the manager of the restaurant walked over with dishes. Due to the imperial dynasty being wiped out, the commoners were much more interested in talking. They all liked to head to the restaurant, causing the waiters to be extremely busy. Even a manager had to personally come over. We came from outside and passed by Ming City. Lin Fan replied. Ming City was quite prosperous and was similar to Jiang City, but couldn't compare to some real cities. The manager placed the dishes down politely. When he saw that no one was paying attention, he said softly, "After you eat, please leave." Recently, Ming City hasn't been peaceful. The manager looked around and confirmed that there was no one around. The imperial dynasty has been wiped out and Ocean Tide Temple has taken over Ming City. Although it is a little better now, they are still causing trouble. If the Ocean Tide Temple disciples notice them, they might really be in trouble. Suddenly, "Shopkeeper, hurry up and bring me some good wine and dishes." At that moment, several Ocean Tide Temple disciples walked in with arrogant attitudes. When the surrounding customers saw them, they were so frightened that they kept quiet. Some of them were even prepared to leave. The manager wanted to cry, but he had no choice. He could only greet them shamelessly. Lin Fan felt that this sect was just so dumb. "Eat quickly, we'll be busy later." Lin Fan rushed. Su Furong and Zhun Xiaobao ate. They didn't care so much. Master was here, and if anything happened, they wouldn't be able to do anything. Not long later, Lin Fan placed the silver on the table and stood up to leave. When he passed by the Ocean Tide Temple disciples, he smiled and said, "Guys, let me read your fortune." The Ocean Tide Temple disciples looked at Lin Fan with disdain. They were normal disciples in the sect and didn't have much status. But in Ming City, it was different. They were masters and could do whatever they wanted. Before they said anything, Lin Fan smiled. "Something huge is going to happen today. I think you should head back to take a look." The moment he said this, Lin Fan brought the others and left. The few Ocean Tide Temple disciples were stunned. When they came back to their senses and chased, they couldn't see Lin Fan anymore. "Where did this lunatic come from? If I find you, I will kill you. What bad luck." Then, they returned to the shop. They ate and drank. Anyway, they didn't need to pay for it. In the wilderness. "Young Master Lin, why are we heading to Ocean Tide Temple?" Cha Fu didn't expect that young Master Lin would really head there. Lin Fan said to solve something and also to take some things. Chapter 374. Su Furong poked Zhun Xiaobao with a perverted expression. "Junior brother, why did he bring us here? Where's this place?" Zhun Xiaobao blinked and asked in confusion. "This is Ocean Tide Temple's territory, and we are heading to Ocean Tide Temple. It is really dangerous. Did you forget that if Master hadn't saved you, that blade would have sliced your butt in half?" Su Furong was helpless. Why was Junior brother so stupid? He didn't even know where to go and only knew how to eat. He thought back to what happened before. Zhun Xiaobao sucked in a deep cold breath. "How terrifying, but it is okay. As long as Master is by my side, I will be safe." Damn! Su Furong didn't want to say a single word. He had been defeated by Junior brother. Cha Fu looked at Lin Fan. He was old and couldn't keep up with this young man's thoughts. What was he thinking? Not only did Cha Fu not understand, but even Zhu Shun was stunned. At the same time, Zhu Shun thought about a terrifying possibility. Young Master Lin said that he wanted to take something, but the word take sounded a little inappropriate. We are here. This is Ocean Tide Temple. Lin Fan raised his head and looked out. Ocean Tide Temple wasn't built on the ocean like he thought. It was built on a mountain like Marshall Path Mountain. Ocean Tide Temple was a mid-tier sect, and the sect leader wasn't a Dao Realm expert. Only the Grand Elder was. Zhu Shun wanted to ask why he came to Ocean Tide Temple, but before he said that, what happened next made him speechless. Not only was Zhu Shun stunned, but even Cha Fu was stunned. Lin Fan raised his leg and stepped down. The ground cracked open and a crack roared out like an earth dragon. It spread and tore the ground apart. Let's go up the mountain. Lin Fan didn't bother to look at their expressions. He didn't sneak attack them, but he wanted to let them know that someone was here. He wanted to give them time to prepare. Don't say that he came too quickly and didn't give them enough time to prepare. Oh my God, Cha Fu was stunned. He had been around for his entire life and had never seen such an arrogant person. He suddenly understood why young Master Lin came to Ocean Tide Temple. He was here to find trouble with them. There was a loud explosion. Ocean Tide Temple shook violently. All the disciples ran out. At the same time, the elders and the sect leader also came out to check on the situation. Why would it suddenly shake? Sect leader, someone is coming up from the foot of the mountain. A disciple hurriedly ran over. The sect leader of Ocean Tide Temple was only at the domain realm. When he heard this, he frowned. Who dared to cause trouble at Ocean Tide Temple? Very soon, as Lin Fan ascended the mountain, the surrounding disciples held onto their weapons and surrounded Lin Fan. As Lin Fan advanced, they retreated. Every disciple had a serious look on their faces. They had no idea where these people came from. Not a bad sect. Lin Fan took a rough look and was satisfied. It was much better than Marshall Path Mountain. At this moment, an angry roar was heard. Cha Fu, I've already let you off. How dare you come back to find trouble with Ocean Tide Temple? Do you really think that I can't kill you? When Ocean Tide Temple sect leader saw Cha Fu, he knew who he was. Cha Fu followed Lin Fan here and didn't take responsibility for this matter. But Lin Fan's words stunned Cha Fu. What? What did it have to do with me? The one who came to find trouble with Ocean Tide Temple wasn't me, but this young Master Lin beside me. Please take a good look. Don't think that I'm easy to bully just because I am old. Lin Fan said, You are the Ocean Tide Temple sect leader. You are Cha Fu's disciple? The sect leader asked. He then looked at Cha Fu. Cha Fu, you brought your disciple here to die, right? Cha Fu smacked his lips. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. Lin Fan was helpless. As expected, he was too young. Because of that, people looked down on him. Couldn't they open their eyes and take a good look at who was the one who came to find trouble with Ocean Tide Temple? I think you have misunderstood. I am not Cha Fu's disciple. He didn't ask me to come, but I wanted to. I know that you don't believe me, so I don't want to prove anything to you. But looking at your expressions, it is obvious that you don't believe me, so I have no choice at that moment. A terrifying aura spread from Lin Fan's body. It was majestic and shocking. To the Ocean Tide Temple disciples, their hearts sank like they were under huge pressure. The Ocean Tide Temple sect leader's expression changed. He was astonished like he didn't expect that Lin Fan's aura was much more terrifying than Cha Fu's. Why did such a person come to Ocean Tide Temple? Lin Fan was lazy to say more. My goal is simple. I just want to take something. If you don't want to die, then kneel down. Rage points plus 66. Rage points plus 99. Rage points plus 222. Rage points plus 999. The numbers weren't equal. Some were high and some were low. It was normal for one person to crush a sect. Especially a mid-tier sect like Ocean Tide Temple, it wasn't difficult at all. Cha Fu was stunned as he looked at Lin Fan. He had to admit defeat. He had never thought that someone could be like this. He was just too arrogant and lawless. In Zhun Xiaobao's words, to actually threaten someone in broad daylight, was there still any law? The Ocean Tide Temple sect leader looked at Lin Fan warily and didn't dare to underestimate him. Who are you? Ocean Tide Temple has never offended you before. Lin Fan said, Indeed, we haven't. You can think that I am the one who offended you. Finding a reason was the hardest. So, he just had to randomly think of one. The sect leader was speechless. His face flushed red, and he was obviously furious. Do you think that Ocean Tide Temple is easy to bully? Lin Fan said, you can think of it that way. I do think that you're easy to bully. At that moment, the Ocean Tide Temple sect leader was furious. Damn, he had never faced such an arrogant person. Looking at his reply, was that something a human would say? He wasn't human at all. Zhu Shin blinked and really wanted to tell Master Lin that he really couldn't handle it. Based on young Master's style, he basically made people angry, and it was easy for him to be beaten to death. Lin Fan activated his domain and instantly covered Ocean Tide Temple. At the same time, his aura pressed forwards. Pung! Pung! The enraged disciples in the surroundings could not withstand this pressure at all and were directly crushed to the ground. Scum, only lying on the ground is your only home. Lin Fan didn't give them any face at all. Shua shua. Rage points started to increase. He didn't crush these disciples. If he crushed them, who else could provide rage points? The Ocean Tide Temple sect leader looked at the surrounding disciples who couldn't handle the pressure and were all lying on the ground. He was furious and hollered. A terrifying aura exploded out to fight against him. Lin Fan raised his head and a wave-like illusion appeared behind him. At the same time, the sound of waves swept forwards. No matter who you are, since you dare to cause trouble in Ocean Tide Temple, you will die. The Ocean Tide Temple sect leader raged. Lin Fan squinted and then opened his eyes. His eyes seemed to explode with a bright light, and the space around seemed to have become sticky. How long? An extremely terrifying aura burst forth, pressing down on the other party's body. He felt that the ground, like the gravity, here was really high. The ground cracked, and his entire body caved in. The Ocean Tide Temple sect leader didn't attack and was suppressed to the ground like the other disciples. He was unable to fight back at all. Cha Fu's eyes opened wide, and he muttered to himself, "Now, I understand that everyone below Dao Realm is an ant." At the start, he really didn't believe it, but now he totally believed it. Young Master Lin wasn't bragging, and everything he said was true. He was really amazing. And just like that, Su Furong opened his eyes wide. They were surrounded, and he was a little nervous. He was thinking about what would happen if they fought. Although Master was strong, it was tough for him to fight so many people. Something would definitely happen, but he really didn't expect it to end just like that. He didn't even charge over. He looked at Lin Fan in fear. So strong. No wonder he could converse so well with Master. So, they weren't on the same level. Too weak. All of you are too weak. Lin Fan said. The Ocean Tide Temple sect leader hollered and struggled, but it was useless. He hollered in his heart. Impossible. How was that possible? He really couldn't accept it. It even made him panic. How could Lin Fan be so terrifying? He actually couldn't fight back at all. He was so young. So how was his strength so terrifying? The sound of footsteps spread out. Lin Fan stood in front of the Ocean Tide Temple sect leader and laughed. He stepped on the sect leader's back and walked past. The humiliation instantly exploded. Rage points plus 999 when the surrounding disciples saw that the sect leader lost. Apart from terror, they were also filled with rage. That was because Lin Fan was humiliating them too. Little friend, you were a little too much. A white illusionary shadow exploded from a building in the distance. At the same time, a voice spread out. It was obvious that the Ocean Tide Temple Grand Elder was the Dao Realm expert that Cha Fu mentioned. Zhu Shun, I will leave it to you. Lin Fan said. Zhu Shun wasn't his cousin. If he was, he wouldn't have let him attack. As a rich family young master, naturally, he had his own elegance. Unfortunately, his identity as a rich family young master didn't return after the U-City incident. Okay, Zhu Shun replied, and then flew into the air. It was already shocking for a pig to fly, but what happened next caused everyone's mouths to gape open wide. The pig stomped down with its foot, causing the void to crumble. A gigantic pig hoof appeared and slammed down furiously. landing on a building in the distance. There was a loud explosion. The building in the distance collapsed. It was directly smashed by the pig. As for the Dao realm expert inside, there was no sound. Who knew whether or not he was dead? But he shouldn't be. Lin Fan opened his hand, and a disciple flew over. He stared at him and terrified the disciple. His face turned ashen white. Naturally, it was easy for him to find out where the sect store their treasures. Lin Fan hummed a tune and leisurely walked into the distance. He then pushed open a door and walked in. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.